Hey, good. Oh, crud. Vince, what do you say? You do it best.
Good after evening, noon, y'all.
Well, okay. So we are here to have some fun. And speaking of having fun, we have got King of Quirky. Now, I don't know if you've been called that before. I did
No,
coin that
I have
on the
not.
internet today.
You
Okay,
did.
well,
I saw that.
you are now officially the King of Quirky. And we have James from QuirkyQRP here tonight, joining us at the kids table, along with Jeff and Vince. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Great. Thanks
Awesome.
for having me
Doing
on.
good.
Awesome. I see Frank in the back room there. Nope, he's still he's still getting himself prepared. Frank's putting his makeup on and doing that kind of stuff. But so awesome stuff. Well, one of the things, when we talk about the kids table and trying to really focus on people who are doing new things, different things, not just the same old thing. And James came to mind. Obviously people know him in the community. He's an antenna builder. He comes up with quirky things, hence the name QuirkyQRP. And I thought he would be a great guest to have on tonight. So James, while we're waiting on Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, sir. My name's James, call sign Kilo Hotel 2 Sierra Romeo. Got my license in 97 and kind of started playing with the idea of ham radio business back then when I was a teen. Mm-hmm. And it kind of petered out with high school, got distracted by high school. But in college, I got my general and shortly thereafter started doing some quirky stuff. And it was all just downhill from there.
Okay. Now I notice your call sign is a little different than other people's.
Yes, I got my call in Guam.
Mm-hmm. and you're able to hang on to that because you don't still.
It's not another country. It's not another country, so it's U.S. territory. So you don't have to. No one has had to change call signs while moving within the United States since before I was born. Like that rule changed a long time ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I was able to hang on to it.
Well, that's good.
It's a territory. Yeah. And it's a cool call sign. And I think mostly I've hung on to it because it's nostalgic. It has been problematic on occasion. Like I've had people actually get mad at me for my call sign. And like people who have vanity calls have gotten mad at me. It's like, it's not really that different. I just have a call sign from a U.S. territory where I grew up, So
that's interesting. I kind of have had a similar issue when I first got the NW9F call. The last person who had it lived in Alaska, and for almost a year before I realized it, because I used to get people get upset at me like, "You're not in Alaska. You're not confirming Alaska." And so I started digging into it, and QRZ and everybody in the FCC all had me here in Indiana, and we were good to go. But apparently, somewhere Club Log still, even though it had,
that's probably where I'm having problems too.
Yeah, it still had me as the owner of the call sign. That wasn't the issue, but it had me somehow associated with Alaska. And so I wasn't confirming Alaska for people on Club Log, and they get up a little upset, but
call signs are killing ham radio. Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely.
So Bo knows who he is, as I mentioned his name, and I won't say his call sign, but Bo had a Hawaiian call sign, and he lived in the States for a while, and Bo used to introduce himself as the Lion Hawaiian. Now he took a mainland call sign. Good for him.
So it was interesting. My story with Bo, I think his call sign was like KH6 FC, and I'm like FC. Well, in the Navy, FC is fire controlman. That's right. the initials for our designator in the Navy. And he's out in Hawaii, and I'm like, Hawaii Navy FC. So I just hit him up. I'm like, were you a fart controlman by chance? And sure enough, he was. So yeah, him and I, although we were separated by many years between us from being in the service, I mean, there was that connection there. But yeah, that's about it. Frank, you ready to go? You good to go? Give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right, Frank is ready to come in. All right, guys, put your screen protectors on. Frank's got his makeup on. He's ready to go. Here.
Well, my audio is going to sound like absolute crap.
Hey, there is plenty
my audio is going
of
to
it.
be absolute crap tonight.
Yeah, there is plenty of it, Frank.
Let's
have
hear
no
it.
fear.
Audio 1, 2. Okay.
Frank, can you hear us?
Okay.
Did the other Frank touch your computer?
Yeah.
All right. Did Tank Frank touch your computer? That's
Frank the Tank touch your computer.
That's the question, guys.
That's
in
my
the chat,
that's my go-to default. And anytime someone has a computer problem, I figure it's Frank the Tank.
Frank did it.
Right. Put it, guys. Put it in the chat if you think Frank Tank the Frank messed up. Frank.
Yeah, give me a 1 in the chat if Frank the Tank tanked the audio.
1 all the way around. Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah, for some reason my microphone's not working. It's not showing up at all on the system, so audio is going through the camera.
Can I ask you a question, Frank? Is it plugged in?
Did you turn it off then on again?
That's right.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
I literally, as you started, James, I rebooted the whole computer. Yeah.
So you did indeed pick it up and shake it just like an Etch-a-Sketch. Perfect.
I always go to the 3-foot drop fix. That usually solves problems.
Frank?
That's only on 7300, James.
Right here, buddy.
No, there you go.
Have you tried a factory reset? Right there.
Nice.
Oh, that's okay. I'm repping James tonight.
I got my.
There you go.
You guys in your backwards video, man.
Is my video backwards?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So is Frank.
Mine's forward.
It's forward to you. It's backwards to us. No, you're.
Oh yeah, so that it goes forwards back out to.
Your titling is forwards, and your logo is in the lower right, but your shirt was backwards.
Yeah.
Maybe just put your shirt on inside out.
Is it fixed now?
Right.
Yeah. Yours is fixed.
Let's go.
Okay.
Looks like you just shifted leaning how you're leaning there.
So,
putting your
I'm more comfortable this way.
Putting your hamster lean on in a different direction.
So, Tim, may I for just a second? I know it's all about James tonight, but I want to make a motion.
Oh, this isn't the clubhouse.
Don't
buddy.
make it all about me.
This is a kid's table.
Tim, you'll love this one. I caught Team Replay last night. I make a motion that we bring Randy on next week if he can.
Oh yeah. I think we should reach out and get Randy on. I think that would be
absolutely
ham radio gold. Did you guys hear about last night on the clubhouse?
No,
I missed most of it.
No, I had a club meeting last night that wasn't clubhouse. Yeah.
Shane's brother Randy has passed his general, and he's I guess working on his extra. Shane's a little upset that Randy has not bothered to take either one of his tests with the clubhouse VE. A little upset.
As a clubhouse VE, I am too. Hearing this,
yeah.
Yep.
But I did suggest that maybe Randy comes onto the clubhouse onto the kids table, and we could discuss it and talk about it, because I feel like maybe Randy doesn't feel like Shane is emotionally supporting him like a good brother.
You'll have to.
Not only that, Tim. Remember, he went to Mike for advice.
Yes.
That was on Monday.
Before you have him on, make sure you get the Wheel of Feelings. So, you can ask him.
No, we need that for Shane. For Shane, we need the Wheel of Feelings.
I don't know. I'm sensing some family drama going on there.
I just had such bad flashbacks from too many corporate HR lectures about the wheeling, the wheel of feelings, or the feel of wheelings, as the case might be.
Yeah.
Feel of wheelings, huh? Yeah.
Man.
And I also want to make a point, because I noticed in the chat that Rob asked if I was the one that derailed the train up there in Kern County. No, I was nowhere near it, but I was delayed.
Isn't that
by
what
it.
you'd say if you had done it?
Probably you would.
My
But no, I was about 4 trains behind it when it happened.
No, it's not deny. It's a 3-point thing. Are you ready? It's act surprised, show concern, and deny everything. Act surprised. Really? That happened? Show concern. Oh, gee, that's too bad. Deny everything. No, it wasn't my friggin' fault.
My lawyer
No,
uncle.
I was 4 trains behind it.
My
at the
lawyer
time.
uncle would always, the advice he would give would be deny everything and demand proof.
Yep.
And then shut up.
That's right.
Yep. Hams are known for emotional support. That is very correct.
Maybe I'll
Thank
make
you, 45.
A ham radio wheel of feelings.
Or a feel of wheelings.
That's your next project.
You know, I think Ape has one of those permanently ready to go on his computer. He brings that thing up a lot. Must be in his favorites.
Well, he's in touch with his inner self.
I could make
He's
a little pocket version with a little spinning dial on it. And
he's in touch with something. I'm not sure what it is, but he's in touch with something. But
he's touched, that's for sure.
Yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
Jody, the Canadian sass is killing it tonight.
Yes, Jody is. He usually does.
My golly.
Oh, even more so than usual, Vince.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Jody finally got his Hamsat lamp that he ordered. He ordered one of my CubeSat lamps, but it went through this hell of a shipping issue with DHL getting to Canada. Oh my God. It was a nightmare.
It's that new wall we've put up at the 49th, I'm afraid.
So.
Yeah, instead of that
stopped by a Mountie or something.
Instead of that 20-yard opening through the trees that is, the border. The longest open border in the world between our two countries. It's something to cherish for sure.
Oh, Vince, I saw one today that you absolutely will love. North America is no longer North America.
What does it identify as now?
Good God.
Let's see.
What?
There's West Canada, East Canada, South Canada, Gulf of Canada, and Canada Canal.
Okay.
I feel like somebody's got their feelings hurt.
So
Yeah.
we just have to ship out maple syrup to all these people. No big deal. I mean, there's a maple syrup reserve in Quebec. It's just for such a thing.
There you go.
So Mike has got a funny one there. He says, we need a kids table placemat of emotional support.
That could be James's next spin-up project.
That could be arranged.
That could be arranged. Yeah.
Remind me on Twitter. Or X,
the sippy cup is a good idea. I like that.
Wow.
Oh God, emotional support.
This is good. Hey, James, I feel like if anything tonight,
I do have an
you will
emotional
come out
support
with at
sippy
least
cup.
one T-shirt slogan, at least one, maybe two.
I made enough T-shirts last year for the next 5 years.
Oh, got some more war talk there.
My favorite
I'll tell you
Canadian meme is it's Canada isn't real. And people are posting like all this evidence like Canada doesn't even exist. It's like what? And some people I'm like, do they truly believe this? Are they nuts? They must be flat earthers too, I guess. Most likely.
I was going to say, James, they're flat earthers that believe it.
Huh. Interesting.
All my customers are flat earthers.
Funny how that one works.
So
That's
James, what's your next project that's coming up, man? I mean, you've got some cool stuff. Let's face it. Everybody knows that, but they don't know just how cool it is until they meet you in person, as I've had the pleasure to do.
Yeah, I've got a lot of funky stuff and a lot of things that are on the back burner right now because I've been having so much fun doing design work on all this stuff that I'm partnering with production companies to make products as opposed to the products I actually make myself. And I've been just having a blast with that because my background is professional photography. I used to work for newspapers, so we do ad and page design. So designing all this stuff is kind of like I'm kind of having some fun like I used to back in the day. So, but I do plan. I don't want to get too many cats out of the bag here, but I do have other built by King Quirky products that I'd like to eventually release. It's just that the Slink Tenna is still relatively popular and sells well when I make batches of them, and I haven't had a lot of time to. It's not like I would, sell more products if I release more of my other product ideas, because I only have X amount of time to build stuff per day. So it's like I'm either selling these ideas or these ideas, and the way I've been operating is kind of like when I get burnt out on a product, then I might start something new. Like my original product was the keychain QRP HF transmitters. But man, it was the build it's so intricate. Everything's tiny and lots of little detailed cutting and just everything's like glued in place because there's no room inside the tiny 1-inch cubed enclosure to like have things mounted. Like everything's just kind of crammed in there and glued in place. And so I got burnt out on building those things. People still bug me like, when are you going to make more keychain QRP transmitters? But it's like I'll do small batches on occasion. But man, I've built too many of those things, and I might be getting to that point with the Slink Tenna. So maybe I'm getting close to finally releasing another hands-on QuirkyQRP product of some kind. I've got a few ideas.
A piece of hardware, not a printable.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And I have to admit, I had forgotten about that little bitty transmitter, but dang, let me know next time you're making them, man.
I do typically post about them on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay.
And Facebook, I think. Yeah. Instagram.
Yeah.
Those are my three wheelhouse to post on. So I usually let the people who email me, I'll try to contact them first, because usually the batches can be relatively small, just like 20 or 40 for the keychain QRPs. So I'll let those people know, like, hey, these are live. Better get one quick because I'm going to post on social media tomorrow. And I'm thinking maybe another antenna product might be in my future. Something
Jim, you want to share my screen?
Something portable related.
Yeah, Frank, hang on.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
If anybody is interested, up in the top, whatever corner there, I've got a link to Quirky's Etsy site.
You mentioned a QuirkyQRP. What'd you say? Sippy cup or something, right?
Yeah. I heard sippy cups.
So I have something kind of sippy cup related that I just made, and that is the I'm designs. That is not the sippy cup. Oh, you could try, but there's holes everywhere. I mean, it's not going to be the best sippy cup, but you'd have to work
James,
for it.
what you need to do.
Get one
anybody in the chat, you want to get Mike K at MRD something? Get him these. He loves his Crocs. And
those are pretty stylish.
They're even better.
It'd be better if they had APRS on them. For Mike.
Oh yeah,
just
absolutely.
saying.
I might have to do something like that for Mike.
I like these sippy cups.
Related. Those are the sippy cups I was talking about. My favorite of those is the FT8 drove me to drinking.
That's a good one.
Let's see here.
I'm not done with all the mock-ups on that, so it comes in a variety of colors.
Yep.
But so far, that's the only mock-up I currently have.
Well, we need to get a hot pink one over to Big Jim ASAP.
You know how Big Jim likes his
periwinkle pink. Yeah.
Was that his idea? Was the pink his idea?
No.
He didn't want to order.
He was the one that was against it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Man, sorry.
There is a pink option available.
There is.
I doubt I'll sell any pink options.
APR Crocs.
Hey,
band plan slap koozies. Go ahead, Tim. good ideas.
Jim did a lot of pushback on the pink tumblers, and I believe they sold out pretty quickly.
Did they?
They did.
Because they had to
ate the last one, and I helped him sell the last one.
Yeah, I think because I think they have to, because they have to be laser etched. So they were like, I think they had to order 12 or 24 at a time. And fair enough. I mean, pink obviously is probably not. You didn't think that'd be a color that would sell pretty well, but they did pretty good.
That's good.
All the women love them, so of course they're going to get sold out.
All the women love the pink tumblers, or all the women love Jim?
The pink tumblers.
Okay.
So I also recently made the reference mat. You know, my first kind of foray into print on demand product design. I never really intended for people to start using that for POTA and in the field. I always just imagined it for a ham shack. And, you know, I think
it's your best seller.
And I think Mike was one of the first people to be like, hey, this works great on a picnic table in a park. And I was like, that's awesome. I never thought of that. And so, but I also thought, like, what could I do with at least a portion of my a ham radio band plan that would be more like lightweight and portable for those that maybe enjoy soda more than POTA, or maybe those that POTA but kind of hike in for a POTA. So I made a really lightweight. It's essentially like a bandana or scarf. So it's super lightweight, but it's got the HF band planned on it. And that's something I also recently did. And I do still plan on doing some band plans for some other countries. That is definitely high on the to-do list. I would really like to do that for Canada and Australia, UK. So that would be nice. So I can get some suppliers, some reliable suppliers in those regions. That's probably one of the harder steps. Like, and the reliable part is the most important one. Like, I can probably find suppliers, but I need people. You know, I got to find companies that can really crank stuff out and not have out of stock issues constantly. Because I've had that before with, you know, when one of my products comes out, and usually it's one that I didn't anticipate being popular, and then it's like, oh my god, they're flying off the shelves, and a supplier I chose was not really forthright with their ability to produce and have their own stockpile for their production. So it's like maybe they can build and print fast, but they didn't stockpile. So then the first several hundred or whatever get printed, they go out, but then it's like it stops, and then it's not like my system is designed to automatically, you know, when my supplier's out of stock, like I have to really stay on top of it to make sure that I don't end up selling products that aren't going to get produced and like end up with horrible backlogs and stuff like that. So that's one of my biggest hurdles with expanding into other regions. Most of my products are available internationally, but you know, the shipping costs and stuff like that is abhorrent, and I'd rather have bases in those regions so that things ship like locally to the buyer. That's
so Jody made this more of a question statement, which I absolutely love. Quirky is waiting for the hubbub to die down before committing to a Canadian mat production run.
No, that's not it. But
well, dude, when you need good quality art for the Canadian stuff, you can download, you know, the PDF document off the RAC website, and I'll just encourage you to draw your eye down to one of the lower corners when you do that, and then you'll know where to find the artwork from. And then I'll be able to help you out with that.
I think one of the other hurdles for me is, so part of my reference mats involve like either official or even maybe unofficial but widely accepted calling frequencies. And I'm well versed at those for the US, and some of them are quasi-international, but there are some frequencies that are very regional specific for calling frequencies. So I gotta get more familiar with that. That's one of my other hurdles. That one's not as big of a problem. That's really just research time.
Yeah, like the boat facing it on 14.3.
And everyone out there, remember, if you're having trouble making your 10 contacts for POTA, just remember to, if you have trouble, just go to 14.3 and call CQ POTA on there.
Yep.
And you'll do just fine.
Yeah. So actually,
hit the record button beforehand.
Yeah.
That's so an interesting addition, maybe, and it is maybe listing all the nets that you're supposed to know own a frequency. So if you had a listing of all the nets that you as the operator are supposed to know that they have reserved, might be a good in every country that you want to do this in.
I was going to do a net chart, but it's constantly morphing. So
no kidding.
It is. I was being facetious, James.
I had actually considered that. I had considered that at one point.
Yeah.
But it's so extensive, and there's just so many either undocumented or lesser known nets, and I wouldn't want to leave anyone out. I'm not a big net person. I used to check into nets, but it was really just because I was trying to make contacts operating QRP back before POTA existed, and I couldn't find anyone on the air, and I'd hear a net, and it was an easy way for me to, make a contact instead of just, sitting out in the woods and being frustrated and not making any contacts. So, but no, I'm not a big net person, but I got nothing against them as long as they don't think they own the frequency.
Oh, but they've all been there for years. Of course they own the frequency.
And of course you should know about it. Yeah. You should know when and where their net is.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can hear it at any given day of the week.
It's just so funny that they come to that conclusion that you should know all this. The list of nets is ridiculous. There's so many.
It is. Yeah.
And I had a few memorized back in the day when if no one was coming back to call in CQ or I couldn't find anyone, I would know that I could go, I forget the frequencies now, but I could go to the vampire net, right? And those guys will be on late and I could make contact with those guys if I wanted to. They'd be there. But I wouldn't stick around and do all the talking about ailments.
So not 75 meters, in other words.
I got nothing against 75 meters. Just the people who have invaded it.
Have you all heard about my bunions?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Just went to the doctor the other day. Yeah.
I'd rather turn on my CB radio.
It could be entertaining.
It is. Brief periods, it is definitely entertaining. Like when I have someone over who's not a ham and I want to jokingly show them what ham radio is like. Oh, yeah, I'll go to 75 meters.
James, here's your new shirt from Eric, KH6WI. I tune up on 14300.
Or the next
get a bro in there.
Or the next one. The frequency is being reserved for a net in the next 2 hours.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, it sure is, right? So, well, that sounds pretty neat. Yeah. So, Mike, so the first time I saw one of your charts in the wild was when Mike N2MAK and I were together last September in Niagara Falls, Ontario, for the cross-border War of 1812 activation, and he brings out this chart. And I'm like, oh, that's James's chart. I can finally say I've seen one. And so that was cool. And he says, yeah, so let's do some CW. And he was going to look at the chart and do the CW. And so it was actually a very helpful learning tool. It's great.
Yeah, it is handy for new hams for sure. I'm sure I've said this on other interviews before, but I made it for myself. I've gotten to a point where sometimes I just don't have time to play ham radio for even a couple weeks sometimes or longer. And it's like, I don't have the band limits memorized as well as when I'm regularly active. So it became it was a solution for me as a reference. I used to have I'd have printouts and they'd be stapled on my wall over here or hanging over here for different things. But it wasn't convenient. So I liked having it right in front of my radio so that I could quickly reference, maybe a cue code that I heard. Then I'm like, oh, what's that one? Stuff like that. Yeah. And apparently people like it too. Other people like it too.
I use mine regularly. And it's not so much, it's like we had talked about, I think before we started. I know where the top of the band is because I work the general section most of the time. It's trying to make sure that I don't get below the general section when I'm doing activation. So, because, I cut the number of people down considerably when I go into the extra portion. So I go ahead and I love it for that because it's always like trying to make sure, okay, I'm in the general section of the band where I can get the most amount of, activator or hunters while I'm doing that. So,
yeah, I don't know what it is, but 17 meters and 12 meters always catch me up on remembering the band limits. I don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, they don't start at 0 and end at 0.35 or whatever, right?
Yeah,
right.
They're non-standard. 30 meters is the same for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a little odd.
So what I love about this mat is not only the fact that it's so well done, you can fit your whole laptop on it plus the mouse and not have
and I have pretty big ones
and it
now
comes
too.
in different sizes. Yeah.
Hey,
I
this is a
noticed that
family
I was
show.
clicking through 15 and a half inch by 31 inch. That's a big mat. Yeah, and it's your best seller too. Imagine that. Hey, look at that. 20 views in the last 24 hours. I wonder if we can sell you out of those.
It has happened before, that's for sure. My biggest mat now is, so jokingly, I made a doormat once. I don't know if that's even still available. But someone requested for me, this wasn't even my idea. Someone was like, hey, can you take that, the Baofeng pattern and put it on a picnic blanket? And that wasn't the only thing the guy, I can't remember his name or his call, but that wasn't the only thing the guy requested. He's like, I also would like that on a comforter. Can you do a comforter covered in Baofengs? And I was like, well, give me a few minutes and I'll find out. And I found a supplier and I was like, yeah, dude, just give me a little time here and I'll get back to you tomorrow. And I think I can make this happen. So now I have, the guy bought like a couple comforters, a Baofeng comforters. And the funny part is, I think he even told me, he's like, my girlfriend's going to love this. I don't know if he was joking or was trying to get rid of his girlfriend. Maybe he was trying to get rid of the girlfriend. I don't know.
Vince, are you okay, buddy?
I'm stuck on comforter. I don't know.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. So after that, I thought, I made him the picnic blanket too. But then I thought, what else could I slap on the picnic blanket? So now, Frank, my largest reference mat is now a picnic blanket.
Oh, geez.
Which is 61 inches by 51 inches.
Dude,
and
picnic blankets and beach towels right there. Picnic blankets and beach towels, James. I think you would be ready for the POTA summer season.
Yeah.
Don't
That's
get
awesome.
beach balls.
I mean, I've got a lot of goofy stuff too, but I really like the stuff that kind of has a utility as well. So I'm always trying to think of like what other ham radio related data could I put on something that would be convenient or helpful for hams. And if it's not going to be convenient or helpful, it might as well be goofy or ridiculous or hilarious or silly or something. So
Eric asked a good question. I already answered it here. Anyone have a discount code handy? He sees the Sling Tenna is in stock. Yes, Eric. HE6NLW Quirky. All one word. All caps.
Yep, that'll give you a discount on the Sling Tenna. I think I've got a few left. 5 or 7.
Eric a few minutes ago asked, what about the tiny HF antenna? What's the news there?
Oh, you mean he might be referencing the walk tenna, the slink tenna, or the walk. I was going to release an antenna called the walk tenna at Dayton, 2023. I brought a prototype with me. It's actually how I met a lot of the YouTubers that year. My first year at Dayton.
I think that's how you and I met. Was you about the thing that was clipped onto your belt?
I think I also had that. That was the zip tenna.
Okay.
So
zip tenna.
Yes,
walk
I remember
tenna,
the zip tenna.
The walk tenna, I lovingly call the best radiating dummy load. Because it's basic, it's just a massive coil of wire with a ducky antenna on top and a matching unit, and it's meant to go on radios like the KX2 or a Zygu 6100 or 6200 for pedestrian portable ops.
So James, you're gonna have to look into this. Eric's saying my code didn't work apparently.
That's strange.
I disabled it before the stream. Phil J2 had a good suggestion here, and I'm gonna mention it first. Antenna reference links would be useful for measuring with measuring devices included. So maybe a graduated measurement on there. But what I was thinking was maybe a good spur would be like a desk reference mat and then a field reference mat. So you could have different sets of data, things that would be pertinent for each group of operators.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I'm always open to new ideas, and even if they're ridiculous or stupid, I mean, half the time in fact, Tim, I think you jokingly said something about boxers underwear.
I did.
I made a pair.
I did
as a joke. I'm not.
And is Tim wearing them right now in honor of your presence?
I might be.
But I couldn't bring myself.
That's for only hams.
Yeah, that's for only hams.
I couldn't bring myself to ask Tim his size to mail him underwear. It just felt wrong. So I'll just leave that.
I'm losing weight right now
to decide.
So to take that a step further, I used to live in Florida, and we get a lot of Canadians that come down there, and it never failed. You could tell who was Canadian because they were all wearing the banana hammocks. Why, I don't know, but that must be the European roots in you guys.
That's the Quebec thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so maybe a set of Baofeng banana hammocks or something for the Canadian.
It's funny you say that
for the Canadian ham.
If some of you recall when Shane mentioned something about his banana and RF wiggling banana like a year ago, and I made a shirt as a joke.
Yes,
I think it was like, bro, does your antenna wiggle like Shane's banana or something?
It's going to be backwards, but
that looks like gobbledygook, dude.
Frank just read it out to us, buddy.
Does your banana wiggle like, or what does it say?
Bro, does your RF even wiggle like Shane's banana?
Yeah. So I came this close, or maybe it was this close, to making Shane a banana hammock, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
There you go. Hey, Alan, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to jump in.
While we're waiting, apparently my coupon code can't apply for a conditional sale promotion. So the Slinkton is on sale?
Yeah. If it is, someone else is in control of my account. Because I don't think
might want James, you and I'll talk afterwards, and I'll talk to Eric after.
What's up, everybody?
We'll figure something out.
Yeah. So we are joined by Alan, Punk Rock Ham Radio, one of the newer folks in our premiere group. And if you guys didn't catch it, he did a very fun video of Winter Field Day on Tuesday night. Dropped that. Of course, he had two of the best looking ham radio operators in ham radio.
Three.
Parachute Jesus and I.
Parachute Jesus, that was hilarious, dude.
That was fun. That was. I missed that. Alan, I was gonna send you a message. I think that was probably the funnest time I've had in ham radio. Was the three of us sitting in the Bronco doing Winter Field Day and just cutting up and having fun, and it's everything that this hobby should be: fun and more fun.
Yeah, agree, man. That was a ton of fun. Ham radio is funner with friends, man. And especially the best part about ham radio YouTube is all of the cool new people that I'm meeting. And I came out to Fort Wayne, and I thought I was the only one here that was into POTA and soda and like that aspect of it. And what do you know? That Parachute Mobile Carlos guy lives like in the next town over. And Gray Man POTA, and like we'll probably be doing field day again together, I'm sure, man. And that footage of us just laughing our asses off was so cool. Like I was sitting here putting the video together, like laughing. So I'm glad we got to share that adventure with all of the nice people out there on YouTube.
Oh yeah, and James, if you haven't met Alan, this is Alan. Alan, this is James from QuirkyQRP.
Hi, James, QuirkyQRP. I have heard of you, but I didn't know your name was James. So hi, nice to meet you, dude.
And you guys are California neighbors. So
where in California are
Central Valley?
Central Valley. Okay, yeah, I'm a SoCal guy. Indiana transplant. Obviously not a fan of this winter thing being at my doorstep. But I mean, Indiana's cool, but like when winter's just out there by your front porch and there is an ice storm and you go like walk outside and the entire sidewalk and street is like an ice skating rink. Yeah, I'm not really into that. In California, if we want to play in the snow, we go to the mountains.
Yep.
I grew up in partly in Idaho, so I know exactly what you're talking about with snow. I think 6 feet of snow, easy.
Yeah, that sounds a lot worse. Idaho, Montana, we get like 3 to 4 inches here, but it gets so cold and bitter sometimes out here, and like it's just so wet, and it kind of sucks. But when there's a nice, fresh coating of a few inches of snow, it's nice. Getting outdoors is nice. And that last video we were just talking about, I made Carlos drive because that's the one thing that like at a certain point in the wintertime, like all of this Indiana stuff, it's cool. There's all of these places that I've never been, but I'm a California driver and like we don't have to deal with this. So
weather.
Yeah. An inch of snow falls in LA and they declare a national emergency.
Yeah.
Alan's like, we could go to the mountains and visit the snow and we can leave it at the mountain when we go home.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can't leave it.
The other interesting thing now, I'm sitting here like crying about driving in the wintertime. Go up to California and go to the mountains when it snows, and everybody goes up there all at the same time, and none of us know how to drive in it. And there's a cliff on the other side, and like you might actually die. Like out here in Indiana, at least it's flat, so like if you slide off of the road or whatever, it might kind of ruin your day, but you get stuck there for a while. But like you're not gonna die.
It's not hard to. Alan, I'll disagree. Just don't hit anything.
Alan, I'll disagree on the California part with you. For those of us that grew up in the mountains.
Well, yeah, you live in the mountains, but I'm talking about all of us like city folk and suburbia people that like don't like live in the mountains.
You surf for beachgoers.
Yeah, if you can't drive in the snow, stay home when it snows. If they say it's going to snow, don't go out.
So 45 Auto says the only part of Indiana that he has seen is out the window there on I-70, which is odd because I-70 it cuts through the state. It's mostly east and west, but it's got some of a slight kind of southwest kind of angle to it. We have distinct weather patterns. North of 70 and south of 70 sometimes are almost like two different regions of the country when it comes to weather.
I always say that California gets all the C students from weather class because it's just easy. It's just easy here to do forecasting. It's like, it's going to be 70 degrees and clear.
It'll be overcast till noon.
There's only 2 seasons.
Yeah, hot,
night
really
and
hot.
Day.
Yeah.
So when I was stationed out there, when I first, I'd never been to California, and when I moved out there for the Navy. And every morning for like a week, I was like, it looks like it's going to rain today. They're like, no, it'll burn off. Looks like it's going to rain today. No, it'll burn off. It was just the morning funk that
morning
took a lot of the funk. No, I think it was clearly if we went out to the ocean and turned back around, you could see it was brown over SoCal and really brown over Tijuana. Air quality issues between the two areas, but
Eric has it right. Hot and fire season. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then you have your like once in every 10 years cold snaps where you get an inch and a half of snow in places that haven't seen snow for 30 years.
I mean, it gets down to freezing where I am here, but it's not like Idaho where it's like negative 14 degrees and 6 feet of snow and fog and hail. It's like everything happens all at once in North Idaho, and it's great. You know, I just go snowboarding all the time. You know,
Nice.
can't complain about the snow in Idaho.
I miss snowboarding. That's one thing I miss. Apparently, there's
Me too.
little hills you can go snowboarding out over here, but it's not like you're going up to the big mountains or anything. But my buddy goes snowboarding up in Michigan all of the time, and I'm just like, where? Where do you go?
Oh,
there's some places down here
I'll
south of
make
where
you
I
guys
live.
jealous. Current temp.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's snowing here right now. When I was driving home, it's like 15 degrees out there. And as a Californian, I will just say that like 30 degrees or 40 degrees has never sounded so good. That doesn't even sound cold to me anymore. It's like, oh, cool. Like I can go stand outside and it's not gonna hurt, and like I'm not gonna get frostbite. Cool.
Yeah,
Dang,
tomorrow's
Frank, I
high
mean-
is 73.
Dang, if you take that forecast you just showed of that current temperature and shift the decimal point 1 to the left, you've got my current temperature, which is 20 degrees warmer than it has been for the past week. It's practically subtropical. I'm thinking of breaking out Jody's banana hammock.
Right.
Wait
You're
a
in
minute.
Canada, right?
Hold on a
Yes.
second,
Uh-huh.
Vince. You know you're not supposed to share another ham radio operator's banana hammock.
Oh, I just said Jody's going to break out the banana hammock. I'm not going to share it.
Okay,
not
I
a
thought I
chance.
swear that you said you were going to break it out.
Well, I was going to break it out by telling him to break it out. Yeah.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. He's more hardy than I am.
For Celsius. There you go.
Just don't
Yeah.
say break it out if he's already wearing the banana hammock. It might not be what you're looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
It might have a whole different meaning to it.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
It's 23 Celsius here in my shack, which is a whole.
Just a little warmer than here.
This is us. 15 degrees, and it's dumping out there. So, but I don't have to deal with it till I gotta get up and go back to work tomorrow. So we'll deal with that tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Are you on a Sennheiser mic?
Yes, a Sennheiser E835. How do I sound?
Sound
I think
good.
you're too close.
Little compressed, but
Yeah.
not too bad.
Okay, cool. Well, all of my stuff works, so that's good.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously, make
better
fun of you tomorrow. The fact that I could recognize that was a Sennheiser mic,
Yeah.
I'm happy about that.
Sennheiser
you, that was good.
E835. That was between this. I got a Sennheiser 421 in the drawer there too. I just I don't know. I think like a broadcast style microphone would be cool for live streaming and stuff. I usually don't do that much of this type of a thing. It's like, dude, I already got a couple of microphones. Sometimes the best piece of gear, whether it's ham radio gear or audio gear, music gear. I sell gear for a living, and I'm addicted to gear, so I'm perfect for this. But sometimes the honest truth to the question, what's the best piece of gear? It's the thing that you already own.
Yep. I have a very rare Radio Shack edition of a Shure microphone that I'm talking into tonight. It's called the RS28, and I found it on Facebook of all places. It's
Nice.
awesome. Yeah, it's an SM57 in disguise.
Oh, RS28. Is that like a vintage microphone?
Probably is. Yeah.
Why have I never heard of that?
It had the old Shure color, Shure coloring on the box. You know, the green and the blue.
Yeah.
Kind of mixed together. Yeah.
So, Alan, you may not be old enough to remember. Radio Shack used to private label other brands' products and call them under the Realistic brand.
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now. I don't. No. Okay, cool. Sounds like you have a really unique line there.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
RS25.
Oh, there we go.
25. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I'm with Hamstick Eric here. He said the best gear is one purchase away.
I just bought a pack.
Grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Ham Radio Kids Table. Break out your wallet.
There you go.
Well, while we're breaking out the wallet, something I don't think I've heard James talk about yet, and I just dropped it in the chat again. James actually has a YouTube channel. He doesn't post much to it.
Oh.
But he
No, not in a while.
And
Really
I
just
dropped it. And let's try and get you up to 500 subs. You're at 461 at my last look.
It's really only existed for, example videos of products.
Yeah, but they're great example videos, especially that mag mount video. I absolutely love that one.
Oh. Oh, yeah, the mag mount sticker protector.
Yeah, for those that don't want to drill the hole.
For those who have wives that won't let you drill a hole, which is the boat I'm in. But that's okay. I'm not too stoked about drilling holes in cars anyways.
Drill all the holes.
So
it's a family show, Frank.
Some,
it's a family show.
Sounds like we need to do some
drill all the holes.
Group. Sounds like we need to do some group counseling here. James is asking, why does he need to buy a G90?
Why
Anybody
not?
Like that?
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't have a G9, so I can't comment.
They're handy.
I tell you,
more power than your typical QRP radio.
Mm-hmm.
Internal tuner, so you can go tune up a barbed wire fence like I like to do. That's a lot of fun. I get a kick out of that. It's got a really wide range tuning auto tuner in there.
You can tune a coat hanger.
And I don't have a G90, but I have played with them before. And if I recall, the interface is actually fairly straightforward, isn't it? Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
It seemed easy to use. I do like. Listen, I like radios that have all the bells and whistles, all the features, all the fancy stuff. But I'm relatively good at that. But I also see it from other people's perspective of, it's like sometimes you just want something that you never have to open up a manual and you can just turn it on and use it. And I like having radios around, like for instance, in my I have a EMP ammo can that I've put together, and the radio I keep in there is a radio that literally doesn't even have a menu system, like zero menu system. It literally turns on, and you can change bands and you can change modes between CW and single sideband, and that's it. It's the easiest HF radio to use. They don't make it anymore. It's a UKIT's TJ2B, I think it was called. It's like a handheld HF, and it was great for that. It was something that I could always have on hand, and if someone else had to use the radio, they got a decent chance of being able to operate it. Maybe they don't know how to find the right frequency, but I like to. I'll typically leave it on a frequency where you might find people. So I think the G90 is a great option.
I like the
14.3, yeah.
I like that one comment from 45 Auto. The G90 is a tuner with a radio attached.
Yes, that is accurate. I like
the G90 is a really cool radio. I've never owned one, but I got to play with one a little bit a few weeks ago. My buddy has a G90, and I brought my Yaesu 891, getting to compare both of those side by side. That's actually going to be my next video. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to Punk Rock Ham Radio on YouTube and join us.
I really like the 891. I have one. I just don't like the deep menu system.
Yeah, same. I've kind of gotten used to it, though. Like, once you set most of the stuff in there, you don't really need to go back in there for too much. I just leave it at the 16-01 where the power is. That's all I really need to mess with. But
yeah, which power? There's like 12 different power settings on that radio. It's like, what's the power for AM? What's the power for single sideband? What's the power for, it's ridiculous. I just want one. I want one power menu.
Yeah, it's stupid, but you get used to it.
You mean there's more than one power setting on that radio?
Yeah, there's like 6 of them.
12.
God, no wonder I'm not getting responses. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, you got to adjust all the powers.
All the powers. James, you brought up a very interesting point. And it was talking about something that was simple to use. If somebody, like, use your kids, right? You're hurt, you're out somewhere, you're trying to talk them. Let's say you're hiking, right? And you need to talk them through getting a small radio on the air to maybe get you some help or whatever. A simplified radio is the best way to go. One of the things that I did, I kind of made a conscious decision a couple of years ago, was to kind of standardize on the ICOM radios, at least for hiking around in the house, and my portable one, just for that very reason. It's menu driven, it's icon driven. It's very easy to use, and even between the 705 and the 7300, the majority of the icons are exactly the same. And especially I'm thinking about kids, and my wife, they're used to that. They're used to hitting icons on their phone, so it's easy to walk them through menus if, once again, I was injured or something and I needed to do that. I wasn't able to operate the radio myself, and that's kind of the thought process behind that radio for me, or those radios. And I'm not saying whether it's ICOM, Yaesu, I like them all. I own all the radios, most of them at least, but I have, I think, representation of all the brands. And Yaesu did a little bit with the icon driven stuff for a while, and then they went back to I guess the newer radios. I don't have any of the newer ones. 891 and the 400 are the newest ones that I got. But I don't know. I think that's probably something that is a valid thing to look at for people. Vince says he's got them all.
Oh, I saw.
And I like having a default setting on my radio that I always go back to. So, for instance, like I said at the beginning of the stream, my background professionally was photography, but I would always have my cameras set. I would always have kind of a middle ground default settings set on my camera. So whenever I put it away, it was back to the default settings. So the next time I pick it up, I know those are the settings I'm at. It's not whatever the last photo shoot required. I always had the same starting point. And I like that. I've transposed that concept to ham radio, or maybe I got it from ham radio, honestly, because ham radio came first in my life. But I like having default settings on my radios that I always go back to. And then there's default for like at home, and then there's default for on a trip. So if I'm on a trip and if I'm playing radio versus using radio, I differentiate the two between, like, there's playing radio, and it's more like I'm just having fun. It's not a tool. And then there's the utilitarian purpose of the radio for emergency communications. So I always like to have a default setting that I go back to, or default frequencies or modes. So for VHF, UHF, it's whatever the local repeater is. Even if I'm not planning on talking on the repeater, if I'm done playing with the radio, I switch it back to the repeater that's local to the vacation we're on, or whatever. And then if I can't operate the radio for whatever reason, then whoever does pick up the radio, they're going to have the best chance of making contact with who they need to talk to get assistance at whatever level that may be.
And that's a good thought. Most of the newer radios, especially the ones that have SD cards in them, you can maintain profiles, or you can create a master config backup and go in and make all the changes you want. But to your point, when it's time to put it up, you can restore back your basic standard default profile, and next time you bring the radio up, it's where you expect it to be.
Yeah, I like that. And it's handy for you, because maybe you were doing something really funky with the radio when you were playing radio, and you had all these settings changed, right, to do whatever it is you were doing for fun. And the next time you pick up the radio, maybe you really need to use that radio. And it's like, now you got to change everything back when it would have been nice if everything was at your go-to default settings and modes and frequencies.
I joke about it. Factory reset. There's so many times, people will get in and make settings changes and then forget about something they did and maybe compound the problem they're having or whatever. And a lot of times the simple answer is just resetting it back to a factory config. And that's kind of what you're doing there, but it's tailored the way you want it and it's working and you've got something to fall back on. So good deal. Now I'm going to ask the question because this is the kids table and we talk kids. Well, not kids. I mean, Frank's here, but we talk. Obviously, you grew up in Guam
and Idaho. Yeah,
in Idaho, right?
Two literally almost polar opposites.
And so I've been to Guam. It's out in the middle of nowhere. It's over there by the Mariana Islands or whatever, in Mog. I've been
the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, Mariana Trench. Been over it. What got you into ham radio? And
we touched on this before the stream started. Electronics.
Yeah.
I just was really into electronics and building stuff and letting the magic smoke out of everything I could find, and just dismantling things and building things out of things I dismantled, and ticking off my brothers because I took apart their remote control toy and was tinkering with it and seeing if I could extend the range. And that was like my first experience with antennas and some of the basic concepts that non-hams believe of, where let's say, a longer antenna makes it go further, right? Which is, well, it's like depends on what the frequency is. If all you're doing is changing the length of the antenna and if the frequency is not following the longer length of wire, you're not improving performance technically, depending on the situation. So that was kind of like for me a moment where I took the remote control car apart, gave it a much too long antenna, and I was like, why didn't it make it better? And that was like, okay, well, it blew that idea out of my head, and I was like, well, I have to figure out why. Why didn't it make it go further? And it was just a cascade of mistakes and learning on the go that just kind of transitioned into radio and playing in Guam, before the real internet age, playing with my dad's shortwave radio during a typhoon, because the power's been out for a week and there's tsunami risks and 150 plus mile an hour winds outside. And it's like, okay, are we going to survive? So radio was kind of like critical in those moments. So I learned from an early age that the power of radio and the utility of radio, because when the power's out, a portable radio could save your life. And I knew that from age 5, and the other thing was my dad was never at home during a typhoon. He's a retired airline pilot. So anytime a typhoon was coming through, they would evacuate all the planes from the airport and fly them to another island that was out of the path of the typhoon. And he would just, leading up to the typhoon hitting, right? Because you can see these things coming on radar. So, the week leading up and even during, it's not like he gets to come back, right? Like he just flew the plane off the island. There's no plane that's going to fly back to experience the typhoon. All the planes have left. So we'd be, my mom and my younger brothers would be experiencing these 150 mile an hour winds, sometimes up to that high, without my dad around. So like I took the radio became a very serious tool. That plus making sure the door doesn't open, everything gets destroyed. So that's how I got my start in ham radio, and it was through electronics, and then seeing early on the utility of radio, and then in my very young teen years, going on road trips with family and playing with CB radios. And it happened to be a good solar cycle year or years, and I had a radio. This is not the exact radio, but the same model. I found it again, and bought one for myself. This was my first CB radio, and I remember turning this thing on as a kid. We were on some road trip, Montana or Washington, Northern Idaho, even Canada, and I remember hearing a guy in Texas like talking to a guy in Mexico, and thinking, "That's awesome! That's incredible! That is magical!" And that's kind of what solidified the not just listening to radio, but being able to talk on the radio and what you could achieve with the radio. And then, my dad said, "Hey, why don't you get your ham radio license?" So this is just before we had fully moved away from Guam, and we got our licenses before we left Guam.
So was your, you mentioned your dad had shortwave radio. Was your dad a ham before, or did you guys
I think he actually was.
together?
Yeah, no, he got licensed when he was in his youth, but let it slide. He had an old, I'm going to butcher the name, but it was like a Amco or Amico or something like that. Amico transmitter. I think you can still, there's like a reproduction kit floating around out there still on eBay. I've seen it. It's like $200 for this reproduction kit. I'd like to get one for my dad someday, because he had that exact radio, and that's what he had. So he had back in, it was separate transmitter, separate receiver days. But he got relicensed with me, and I'm actually still a general. Oddly enough, I'm going to catch flack for that, I'm sure.
We can fix that for you.
General.
Oh yeah.
Well,
But I have a plan.
we can get you tested right along with Shane's brother Randy.
Yes.
I think I'll pass on the banana hammock testing.
No banana hammock testing. Just all ham radio testing.
Yeah, no, I'm planning when my son gets older, I'm going to do what my dad did with me, and we're going to go through it together, and I'll be studying for the extra, and he'll be studying for his tech, and then it'll be like a shared experience. And if he fails, then we can both commiserate. And
so I've seen you on X have posted some pictures of some electronics projects that you're doing with your kids. How is that? How's that being received on their part?
Great.
Good.
So that's been really fun for me, because you never know if your kids are going to be interested in things you're into, and that's okay if they're not. I find that perfectly acceptable. But luckily, they find it really interesting, and I've picked kits that are kind of playful and toy-like. Stuff with LEDs and stuff that's like one of the things we most recently built it's like a little portable game unit. It's just a dot matrix LED. It's not even a display. It's literally just a bunch of LEDs crammed together. But you can play games like Tetris and Snake and stuff like that. So we built that. He's not old enough to do the soldering yet, but he helps me find where all the components go, and we go through all that, and he puts the components in. I do the soldering, and we do it together. And another cool one, and I can't think of the name right now. I don't know if it's right here. I've shown it on other streams before. There's a antique radio club somewhere on the internet, and they sell this kit where you don't have to do any soldering. So it's a circuit board, but it goes on a block of wood. And then to make the connections, you use screws, and the screws go through the holes on the circuit board, and you just wrap the resistor and capacitor and transistor wires around the screw, and it's held down by screws on the board, and that's what makes all the connections. And it's a Morse code practice tone generator. Very simple, with like a built-in straight key that's a piece of circuit board as the straight key. So we built that, and
I was gonna say, guys, don't worry. Vince will have those up on his shop here in a couple of days.
Right.
And it's got like the Morse code chart on the circuit board, so the kids can. I know it's not the best way to learn, but when you're not really learning seriously, at least they can playfully try to. I tell them what a dit is versus a DAW, and then they can try to do the letters. Like they're learning the alphabet now, so that he can see the alphabet on there, and then I can have him do the DAW for A. I actually don't know Morse code anymore. I learned it back when I was a teenager, when I first got my license, but let it slide. And
yeah, I was going to ask if you were fluent in the dits and the das.
I am not. No, I've tried to get back into it several times. It's really just a time issue, available time issue. And I do plan on getting into it. It's just a matter of when the moment presents itself.
It would be remiss of me to not jump in at this point and say 5 minutes a day, every day, is all you need to get back into it, because that's how I did it.
That's only 3 YouTube videos that you can watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have done.
And
go ahead.
James, Jody has a good question. I know it's tongue in cheek, though. Are there any plans to grow QuirkyQRP to grow into Quirky Barefoot or even QuirkyQRO?
That's a great question.
Oddly enough, yes. As far as the Slink 10 is concerned, I have considered making like a giant ass Slink 10 just for the hell of it. Because some of my early prototypes playing with Slinkies as antennas were with jumbo Slinkies, because they make Slinkies where the diameter is like this. And I've done that. I've run those up flag poles, up fiberglass poles, and done a vertical Slinky antenna. That's kind of where that's the origins of the Slink antenna, was reading about people doing it in Vietnam when an antenna broke. Whether that story is true or not, I've read about that story. And then trying it for myself. And then thinking, how can I improve some of the pitfalls of the performance on these Slink 10, which is typically, most people, the early days of using Slinkies for antennas, which goes back quite a ways, was, there's no matching unit in there, no no ball in, nothing. And you would just have two Slinkies stretched out, and you would tune it by stretching the Slinky out and retracting it, and attempt to tune it that way. And it's just a pain in the butt. I've tried that. It's a nightmare. Like the littlest breeze, just your SWR is like all over the place, and try putting it in a tree. Oh man, no way. So that was kind of the birth of Slink 10, was more of a challenge of, can I make this better than everyone complains about it being? And I mean, my reviews speak for themselves. People are pretty happy with the Slink 10. And of course, it's being used in ways that I never intended. Mostly people in HOAs. I had no idea how so many hams were in HOAs. There's quite a few apparently. And I never intended for the Slink 10 to be used or to be beneficial to hams in HOAs. But man, it's like almost all my customers now buy them because that's their situation. It's limited space. And my Slink 10 is only 12 feet long when it's deployed.
I think it's safe to say you can run it along a wooden fence and keep it out of the prying eyes of your nosy Karen neighbors.
Yeah, that was some of the early testing. Was I just put it on my fence outside. I even still have one of my prototypes up in my garage rafters here. It was just too much of a pain to take it down again, so it just stays up there. And I only used Slink 10s for like almost for a year and a half or 2 years. That was the only antenna I used. And I was making contacts all over the world. And this was during the solar minimum. And it was just in my freaking garage, like almost the worst possible place. And it's not a magical antenna or anything. I just worked hard at trying to make contacts. I put the time in. That's what really matters. But, I've put it down just for fun. I just had it 6 inches off the ground for fun. It's like, who can I make contact with at 6 inches off the ground, or 3 inches? I even laid it just on some concrete once. And yeah, it performed horribly like that. I did make some contacts, which kind of blew my mind. And you can do that with any antenna. And there's still a chance of making contacts. Like the guys who will, tune up a light bulb on FT and make FT8 contacts, right? Those are hilarious stories.
So the other James, KI50EB, wants to know, can you make the Slink 10 into a kit?
I have thought about that. The assembly process is actually fairly involved. And I think just doing the instructions would be a nightmare. I don't know how I would do the instructions. It's not that it's not doable. It's certainly possible, but man, I spend a lot of time building these sling antennas. Like, it's not like a quick process at all. There's cutting and drilling and gluing, and then there's this wire wrapping and the soldering. Like, it's not a simple, quick antenna to build by any means. And then the main reason, that's the logical reason. The main reason is I like building things. And I want to build it so that I can make sure it's right.
So, other James, short answer, yes, but no.
Short answer is yes and no. Or it depends.
Are these sling antennas on your site, on your store?
Yeah.
They are. I dropped the link in the chat.
Okay.
Depending, if you're on a desktop, there's
I'll drop it in the private chat for you.
There's sections on the left-hand side, and there's one section called handmade products. And should be in there.
There's lots of cool stuff on your store, man. You got me going shopping now.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Hey, there it is.
Yes. So Mike into MAK mentioned it. It is the Antiques
Antique
Wireless Museum or something like that.
Thank you for finding that.
Association, and he's a member of that. He's actually done some. He's been pretty hyped up about it. He did some activations during the AM rallies on some of their classic gear. But here is the one, and it looks like Mike might have got the link in the chat.
He did.
I gotta say, that kit, I think it's awesome and very inventive and creative and original. I mean, for kit building, there's so many soldering kits out there, but it was great for my kids because they basically got. I'll probably buy another one, because my daughter's going to get old enough to start using the screwdriver here in the next couple, heck, probably this year. And that's all you need is a screwdriver to build that thing. I would love to see more kits that assemble this way. I think it's an awesome idea. I love it. I think it's great.
I agree. So it looks like the speaker is probably already mounted.
Yeah, the speaker's mounted
on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but everything else just looks like it's pressure fit underneath the washer there.
It's all screwing down into a piece of wood.
And it looks like the key was it just a simple spring loaded key that you're making the connection with?
Yeah, it's not sprung. There's a screw underneath it, and that screw is lower than the screws that the elevated straight key piece of PCB is attached to. So you're literally just bending. You're just pushing down the PCB, and then it touches the screw underneath. I think it's great. I would love to see more kits like that.
So
like maybe...
apparently you're one less antenna in stock now. Eric Ham Radio on has ordered one.
Awesome. That batch is literally each of the sling antennas just needs like 5 minutes more of work each, and then they're ready to ship. So that should ship out. Let's see, what day is it? Could
guys, I'd
ship out in the next couple days.
Right. That would be an awesome thing. So Frank, get out your credit card, buddy.
No. But Jody has a good point. All you need is a screwdriver. 1 part vodka, 2 parts orange juice.
There you go.
I'll take it the other way around. 2 parts vodka, 1 part orange juice. But
even better.
So who was the guy? Who was the guy that was a member of that Antique Wireless Association?
That is
Mike N2MAK.
Yeah,
Mike. Please pass the word along that your club needs to make more kits that are assembled that way. I don't even care what the kit does. I love the idea, and you guys should expand on that because I think it's a great way to get kids having fun with electronics. Doesn't even have to be ham radio related. Just make more kits that just go together with a screwdriver. It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, James, he has to get home from Puerto Rico first. So
start making them in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, while you're there, you might change your call sign and get a Puerto Rican call sign. And hurry up and apply for it before you come back stateside.
NP2MAK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then you have both.
Was it KH? Are they KH4?
No, KP4,
KP4.
WP4.
It could be NP4
Yeah.
or MP2.
Sweet. Thanks, Mike.
Yep. That is awesome. So, you know, that's cool, and we'll make sure we clip that so they can put it up on their website of James's endorsement.
Oh yeah, totally. They need to make. Just take every kit that's ever existed for soldering and make it out of that. Little QRP transmitters, Pixie kits, like just do it all. That would be great. A Pixie kit would be a great start.
It's a good idea. You know, especially we were talking earlier about that before we got on the thing about, you know, how do you interest kids, you know, and it's a big drive for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. You know, they want to get youth involved in amateur radio. Well, those are the kind of things. I mean, bring it to them. Don't try to expect them to learn what we know as adults, right? They'll eventually come to it, but bring the experience to them and try not to get so wrapped up on, once again, doing it like our grandfathers did, because you know this isn't our grandfather's hobby anymore. Yeah.
Nope. It's ours.
That's right. In our banana hammocks as
God.
we hoist our flags.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that's the legacy our generation of hams is going to leave behind is Canadian banana hammock.
That's right. Yep. With Balfangs on it on the backside.
No, I refuse. Maybe if I have a stroke and I change a little bit, I'll start making those products. But as it stands right now, I'm not going to make banana hammock products.
So Jody is talking about the Radio Shack Science Fair spring terminal kits, and those are awesome. And then there's another company that made those too, and those were very popular when I was a kid.
I still have mine from my childhood, which we bought at a garage sale. It's a wooden box spring electronics kit, and we bought it used, and it's like a model from the 60s, and I still have it, and that's what I grew up with. Those are great, but I really like the hands-on aspect of assembling that Morse code keyer kit with a screwdriver, because then it feels like you're really building it, and you're using a tool, and you get to hold the components in your hand. I really like the spring load kits, but like all the components are like hard mounted, right? They're all permanently on there, and you're just making wire connections, which is great. I think that's a great additional option. Tim, you were talking about things to interest youth, and yes, we talked about what did I mention? It was
the
Pokemon Go thing, and how like I did in my youth, did like geocaching, and I think like RDF finding is basically like ham radio Pokemon Go. So like I've got this sucker right here. This is the older model. I have the newer model, but I snagged one of these on eBay. And then the transmitter is just a tiny little thing. Unfortunately, this company has gone out of business, Communication Specialists. But it is lots of fun to track things down, like a treasure hunt. And
does that open up like something out of Ghostbusters?
It does. So these fold out.
Okay.
Like this. Yeah.
Is that what is that? Square dipole?
Make him full screen, Tim.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Jeez. Hang on.
So this is for the 1.25 meter band.
Okay.
That's highly sensitive receiver. They're tons of fun. And it's really unfortunate that this company went out of business, because I'm not sure what the options are these days. There's another company, and maybe someone else can find it. There's a radio direction finding kit that just some ham has made, and wish I could find it. But it hooks up to any radio. You literally can hook it to a bail thong, and it injects a tone for you. And it's just a dipole. Actually, it comes with it. They ask you to make a butterfly antenna, but I modified mine into 2 telescopic whips, and that way I could tune the RDF receiver to whatever band I was going to operate on. Instead of being stuck with one antenna that kind of did okay it on all frequencies, I used just 2 simple, like, telescopic whips you'd have on an FM radio, that kind of thing.
Hey, Tim, share my screen. I think I found what James is talking about. James, tell me if this is it.
Yeah, I posted about it on X a while back, but...
Where'd it go? Man.
Yeah, I just found that too.
Frank, you're on top of it. That is the one. I bought 2 of those kits. I've built one so far. It is a load of fun.
It's 2008 and then current version of parts placement.
So what I did, those top 2 screws. So that's you're not seeing the whole picture there, but that's a butterfly antenna, right? That's folded around. I just I didn't do the butterfly antenna. I just attached 2 FM radio antennas to that were long enough to cover up into like a little beyond the 2-meter band. And then I could just bring it down to match whatever frequency I was trying to RDF, whether it was 1.25 meter band or 70 centimeters. It's not an expensive kit. I'm really glad that guy's still making them. You never know with these kits where it's just one guy, how long they're going to keep doing it. And I have personal experience with that one, and I think it's great. I just took
the page was last updated just over a year ago, January 12th of 24. So pretty current.
That's a great kit, and probably one of the most affordable yet effective options for RDF fun.
Well, that sounds like a good idea, and that's definitely, I think, something that you could bring it to the kids, right? And they can do more than just sitting there listening to a bunch of old farts talk about repeaters and complain about money and rules and all those other things.
You get to go out and basically go for a hike, right? And a treasure hunt hike with little kids and go hunt down a transmitter. And the transmitter could be as simple as a bail thong.
So something that's interesting, you guys, I know Alan's an Eagle Scout. James, you're an Eagle Scout. You grew up in scouting. One of the most popular campouts that our troop ever had was just capture the flag. You know, we would see, and exactly how you guys reacted right there. Both of them, you're like, "Oh yeah," you know.
Just that brought back memories, dude.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite trips right there.
At scout camp, playing capture the flag, when lived for that.
Our kids moved into the troop from Cub Scouts. They were all about. Everything was programmed. Every camp out had to be a merit badge. It was boom, 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 boom. And the kids really just weren't, they weren't into it. They really weren't. And some of it was okay. And some of it was fun. And they actually planned everything. The scouts did that. When we took over, you know, one of the things we would say is that, you know, they kind of lost, they were so focused on doing all this stuff and tying everything back to some scouting requirement and stuff. And we were like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to let the kids be kids. And that capture the flag camp out, or not just the camp out, but it was always there. We would always program in time for them to just go run through the woods and do whatever. Right. And those were probably some of their funnest times, because they would take off, you know, and maybe we were doing wilderness, you know, survival or something. So they would build forts, you know, and they just would do it along in the same principles that you would build your shelter for your wilderness merit badge, right? So those are the kind of things that bring it to the kids. Do that to find these things. So maybe you take, you know, radio detection finding and make a game out of it. Put it out there. Take it. If you're involved with a scout troop, put a transmitter out there and give them a bowfang and let them use their antenna, and on the walkie-talkie, and use that as a rough way of doing it, and give them 10 bowfangs to go out there and use as a receiver that they've got a rudimentary type detection finding thing, and just let them have fun. They will, that kind of stuff will sear into their nuggets, and they will enjoy it from there.
So thank you, Jody, for this one. Jody found this, and he says it looks similar to what Project Lifesaver uses to locate missing patients.
Yeah, I've seen several similarly built devices, just differently branded.
And looking at the little mini image up here in the top right above cart and login, that sort of does look like.
Yeah, that looks very similar to what I have. Mind you, this is the older model. I have the newer model somewhere else, which really is just like more sensitivity control instead of just three switches. It's like 7. But there's still companies out there. I don't know who the original manufacturer is, though, because I thought this was the original manufacturer, but I've started to believe that Specialist Communications was really just rebranding something, because that device I've seen branded by other companies, like sold for falconry and all kinds of stuff like that for wildlife tracking. So maybe you can still find that stuff out there. It can be expensive, though.
Price.
How much was it?
$1,200.
Man,
I got this for $100.
Yeah.
And the new model I bought was maybe $200 from this now defunct company.
Well, it's because you're not trying to find grandma and grandpa with it.
Yeah.
Well, they had kind of marketed it that way. There was one, they called it the locator. It was for tracking a cat. Actually, oh shoot, what's his name on the big ham radio show? Oh God, I'm blanking.
I mean, there's other ham radio shows besides ours.
Well, they're really just hypothetical shows.
Clubhouse or Coffee?
No. Josh's show that he.
Ham Nation.
Ham Nation.
Gordo.
There we go. Man, what a
dude.
Had a senior moment there.
Man.
Gordo has talked about this company's communication specialist, and he's done little mini segments on it in the past about people using it to track down their cats. So this is like, the company existed probably pre-internet, so it was probably one of the few options that existed back then, and they only recently went out of business. I'd like to make little beacon transponders. I've made a couple prototypes, like for 70 centimeters and some HF frequencies. Basically just taking my keychain QRP and redesigning it, repurposing it to be a continuous beacon transponder. But I haven't really made any headway beyond the prototypes yet.
It's all theoretical at this point, right?
It's all theoretical. Well, I mean, there are prototypes, so it's a little more than theoretical.
Okay.
Let's see if I can grab one.
Oh, wow.
4-5's right.
Here's
What's that?
There's a throwback. Speaking of scouting, we're gonna clip the corner off your radio license.
Oh no, why? Because I forgot about Gordo.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't take a corner off my, what do you call it? It'd be the radio chit, right?
Your radio chit.
Instead of
Yeah,
my
you probably learned your CW off of Gordo cassette tapes.
I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Cassette
all
tape.
good hams did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just need to relearn. This is one of the ways I'm hoping to relearn it. Spendy little sucker. I think I've shown this off before.
Oh, PrepCom?
On my channel, yeah.
Yeah, they've been at a few ham fests now.
So I interviewed Eric from PrepCom last year, a year ago at Hamcation, and that was right after the right after the tornado that we had here that ripped through 1,000 feet from my house, and
Wow.
I was that jarred me. That shook me, that tornado, and I was really interested in that device. It kind of is what led me down the thing of standardizing on a common platform as far as the operating system of the radio and stuff like that.
I like it. It's a fun device. I haven't used it lately. I used to use it periodically. I've been really happy with its performance. The interface took a little getting used to, but it's really cool. And his claims of doing, like better in the noise decoding than most software that's out there. I think his claims are well founded. It is pretty neat how well it decodes in the noise.
Awesome. Also, hey, real quick, I want to welcome Kirk there. He says it's first time tuning in, and he is in Kokomo, Indiana. So the Hoosiers are now outnumbering the Californians here tonight. So,
what about the Hoosiers, former Californians? Well,
but you got to swear allegiance. You got to be in one camp or the other. You got to be.
Indiana and I bonded this summertime, dude. There are endless adventures in every direction, places I've never been, all kinds of places, and some really big lakes. So, me and Indiana, we're gonna get along, but I'll always be a Californian. That kind of provides some comedic relief to my channel in the wintertime in Indiana, California.
Yeah, your last video, you seemed a little excited about being able to walk out onto a frozen lake.
I was. Well, I've never seen that before, dude. Like, I was like, dude, this is a beach. Give me some palm trees and, put on the suntan lotion. Let's go boogie boarding. And I'm like, oh, no, dude, it's frozen, dude. And like, it looks like a different planet, like that ice shelf. It was cool. Like, I was telling one of the other friends from California, you walk up to Lake Michigan, and it's almost like walking up to the Grand Canyon, just like, this like mind-blowing view, but you didn't have to hike up a mountain to get there. Like, you can just drive right up to it.
That's always fun.
Up in Idaho, we would drill a hole out in the lake and let the water come up and flood, when we knew the temperature was going to drop really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'd freeze overnight, and we'd have a perfect ice skating surface the next day.
this last it was a few weeks ago, me and my buddy, we were doing a video, G90 versus the Yaesu 891. So subscribe to Punk Rock Ham Radio if that interests you. Just type in Punk Rock Ham Radio on YouTube and subscribe. But anyways, there was this.
You can tell who's a salesman in real life.
And tell everybody that you know about Punk Rock Ham Radio. But no, what I was trying to say is,
Punk Rock Ham Radio.
There was this big lake, and it was frozen. There were people ice fishing on it, dude. They're like driving golf carts on this thing. They're dragging out all these shelters and stuff onto the ice, and I'm sitting there like, dipping my toes. Like, can I like walk on this thing? Is this like a thing? Like, people actually do this? But it was really, really cool seeing people out there on the ice, man, in the dead of winter, like spending time outdoors. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how I feel about this yet, but like, cool. Like, I could probably get into this at some point, but this winter I'm hanging in there a lot better. I've had a way better attitude, because when I first got here, that first winter as a former Californian in Indiana sucked. It was just like, dude, is this gonna end? The sun doesn't even shine out here. And then the next couple ones are like doom and gloom. Oh, it's happening again. But this winter, I'm like, nah, January, F you, January. I'm gonna go out and do the POTA and play ham radio outdoors anyway. But it's still like frigidly cold in February, and February is officially kicking my ass, dude. I haven't been spending any time outdoors. It's been 2 weeks, but that's a record, because sometimes I've gone like 3 or 4 months without getting outdoors, playing radio, going hiking, going camping, whatever I'm doing. So I'm on a winning streak. And then once this winter thing loosens its grip, guess what? There's adventures in every direction. I've been staring at the POTA maps all day while I was at work, looking at, there's these 2 parks down, they're in Chicagoland, south of Gary. And I've been scoping those out. I'm going to do a rove out there again once the Californian in me feels road trip worthy out here. But anyways,
Alan, I'll just tease you some more.
Speaking of frozen lakes, my dad and I used to land his tri-pacer on our lake when it was frozen.
That's cool.
You
Carlos
do
was
see
saying
where I
something
am.
about that the other day about landing a plane on a lake. We were talking about Lake Michigan, and if the lake was frozen over enough, we would go and like walk out and activate that shipwreck POTA spot. That's crazy, man. I don't know.
It doesn't have to be that thick to be able to land a plane on, or even drive a car.
Especially if it's got floats on it.
Me and Carlos were like walking around on the shelf ice, and then I'm just like, oh my God, am I gonna fall through? Am I gonna fall through? Cause I'm like, Carlos, like, dude, like, Alan, you're acting like you're gonna fall like 5'3" through the ice, dude. It's just like we're just like right at the very, very shore. We're not like way out there, and Carlos is just like, doing what Carlos does. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, dude, so what is actually more dangerous, jumping out of perfectly good airplanes or walking on shelf ice? And what did Carlos say? He said the shelf ice. But I guess if you're smart about it, I guess if you're smart about it, you know what to look for. You can go out there. There were people doing donuts on that frozen lake on a golf cart. I'm just like, whoa, like this is wild. Like I've never seen this before.
My friends and I would make ice rafts. We'd chisel out a big piece of ice, and so it was floating free. And then we'd all get on it and try not to fall off and run to one side. And you try to like run to this side, run to that side, and get your friend to fall off first. Lots of fun.
We'll
miss Billy.
Are you gonna freeze to death? Like,
well, yeah, that's why Billy wasn't in the troop anymore.
Oh,
so what was that movie with Keanu Reeves where they were
The Matrix?
No, where they were racing on the ice in airboats.
Matrix 2.
No, it wasn't the Matrix.
Matrix 3?
It was earlier. It was before the Matrix.
Must have been John Wick then.
No, not John Wick. Wasn't Speed either.
Racing on? You mean like Point Break?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
No, okay, never mind. Chat, help us out there.
The Lake House.
Could be.
Well, while we're waiting for chat, Alan, Jody said a good point here. For fun, call OnStar while in the middle of the lake. The rookie operators get real concerned.
Speaking of the rookies, Frank, I put that up like 5 minutes ago on the big screen.
I know, looked it up real quick. I was just waiting for a chance to get in there and say it.
No. Okay.
Yeah, so we didn't even have skis or floats on our plane. You just land on it. Just be a man and land on the freaking ice.
Be a man and land on the frozen lake. Do you have to come in for a landing any softer, or do you just go for it like it's pavement?
She's like, no.
He's like,
Is this
no.
preschool? You just land the freaking plane.
Yeah, just don't do whatever you do. Just
You ever
don't
heard of
do
this thing
flaps
called
22.
gravity? This thing called gravity. You just let it happen.
What if
whatever you do, don't do flaps 22 and slam it on the hard deck with one wheel up and then flip your plane. What the heck happened there, by the way?
Is this where I say too soon?
I don't know. I'm
Did they all
glad
make it out?
everybody,
Did everyone make it out of that?
everybody made it out fine. There was a few
Jeez.
people that were hospitalized the next day with non-life-threatening injuries, so presumably broken limbs or something that was needed more than just a cast or whatever. So
Weekend at Bernie's, James says.
no, it wasn't Weekend at Bernie. I don't even think he was in that movie. Come on, somebody. I'm surprised Jody isn't on the IMDb. He's quick with this
Right?
kind of thing.
Usually
It must
Jody's
have been-
much quicker than this.
You're thinking of Interview with a Vampire, I think.
It could be. Well, so Hamstick Eric says F-18 that thing. It's funny. Every time I get on a plane, the first thing I do is I pop my head around towards the cockpit and I just say Navy or Air Force, and that'll tell me what kind of landing I'm going to have. And because the Air Force guys feathered and the Navy guys drop it like they're landing on a carrier, and you can feel it. Chain reaction. There we go.
Yeah.
And it was Jody, by the way, that answered that. And for that, James, I think we should send Jody a Balfang printed banana hammock from QuirkyQRP.
No, veto. Veto.
No.
Jody, if you want the Balfang banana hammock, send your inquiry to kamrd@icloud.com.
Yes. It's .net, but okay.
.net.
No,
Okay.
well, send it to him
I'm
via
used to .com.
Send it to him via APRS.
Yeah, there you go.
And by the way, for somebody who does a lot of arguing about APRS, he was using APRS down in Orlando.
Oh, he loves ticking people off with that. I think it's hilarious. I love it.
Oh yeah.
So hot take here. Frank's hot take for the evening. I agree with him. I use APRS religiously, but I agree with Mike on the APRS front.
I don't think that's a hot take. I think anybody that is, paying any kind of attention to it realizes that. I hope they do.
A lot don't. A lot really don't.
The uninitiated. But I think you know what, Frank, I'm doing a little bit of branding here for you tonight. Instead of Frank's hot sauce, it should be Frank's hot take, so we can make it like a hot bottle with a label on it.
There you go.
And you weren't you looking for a new logo?
Thinking about it, yeah.
I think you should tie Frank's hot sauce into your logo. Build your logo around that. Build your brand around that.
I'll throw it over to my logo developer. Yes,
Okay.
I have a logo developer.
Fiverr?
No, cheaper and better. Well, it's better as well.
Cheaper than Fiverr? Yeah. That's an interesting question. Hamstick Eric's asking there. People love Meshtastic and hate APRS. What's the difference? Well, I think Meshtastic is about 40 years newer, and that's probably because it's the latest and greatest thing. But it's all pretty much in concept.
They both have
the same thing.
major advantages and major drawbacks. I think.
Jody, absolutely.
APRS works really good when you're hiking up the mountains in Southern California doing soda. I used to leave comments, whatever position that I'm at, I could spot myself for soda. Because, I'm up at 10,000 feet and there's all this infrastructure that I have line of sight. In Indiana, it's a different story. It's not really good for anything out here.
APRS on the West Coast works quite well.
It's fun.
There you go.
Yeah, I've used it. I've used it in the backcountry. And if you know what you have to understand the drawbacks and the advantages, and play to its strengths and work around the weaknesses. If you know you're going way deep in the backcountry, you have to do a little research. And is this even going to be effective where I'm going? Have other people. So I've even even weeks leading up to a trip, I'll leave a tab open with apers.fi for an area that I'm like, is there coverage there? I see. Sometimes I'll do some line of sight calculations. Some websites you can do line of sight calculations for positions, and I'll do that kind of stuff. And then you can get a picture of okay, if you're down in a gully, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. If you're on the wrong side of the mountain in California, it's not going to work. If you're on the side facing the high desert, there's not very much APRS infrastructure out there. Even calling CQ on Simplex on that side was a lot harder. I remember I would be on the north facing side of the San Gabriel, somewhere, no line of sight to the main population center. If you're facing that population center, you're still up on the mountain, but you have line of sight to all of that. You're making contacts, and the APRS is working. But as soon as you get on that dark side of the mountain,
that's when you switch to 145.825.
So what's funny?
Frequency.
No, the ISS APRS frequency.
Yeah.
And other satellite. APR frequency. It's the same
So
frequency.
what's funny about
majority of
APRS? What's funny about APRS? James tracked me on APRS just over a year ago now.
Were you going to Quartz Fest?
Like,
is that what that was?
Yeah. And it's like, dude, you know, your message says Quartz Fest. I'm like, yeah, I know. I want it like that because no one was going to see it.
Frank was traveling
Except
to see his
this guy.
probation officer.
Yeah, except
Nothing gets past the quirk.
Especially when I go like 2 miles past your house.
Yeah, and you make it like ridiculously obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think.
Are you one of those people, Frank? Are you stalking James?
Oh,
no, I was stalking him.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Opposite.
Yeah, so so for instance, by the way, I have zero Mesh-tastic experience. I have a couple Mesh-tastic capable kits. Here, these guys. Let me see. I got one right here, actually. I haven't even done the project yet. I mentioned this a while back on some other stream, I'm sure. But supposedly you can flash these suckers to be able to do slow mode on Mesh-tastic.
Yes, we talked about that.
And I got these for, pennies on the dollar. I think I got this for like under $10, a 2-pack.
Mm-hmm.
They're still after that stream happened when I mentioned that a lot of them sold out and then the prices all went up.
See what you get for talking about stuff on live stream?
I know.
Yeah.
So I don't have any experience with Mesh-tastic, but I do have experience with the system that predated Mesh-tastic and is almost identical in every way except being open source, and that would be GoTennas. They are at a functional level the same, but GoTenna is gone now. It doesn't exist because it was never open source. The company stopped making the products, and it vaporized. And so with GoTennas, I held the world record for land-to-land distance communications without relaying on GoTennas, which is identical in both antenna capability and power output as Mesh-tastic on the 900 megahertz ISM band. And that was on top of Mount Lassen. I made contact with my buddy like 30-something miles away without relays. But I was on top of a peak, and
Lassen's huge.
I was part of the GoTenna beta test team as they were coming out and as they were doing some firmware updates to allow like more hops within the mesh. And I tested it out to 6 hops, and it was functional. It can be slow, and that frequency has some great advantages, but also there's some major disadvantages, especially with the fact that it's not ham radio. It's the ISM band on 900 megahertz, so it does not necessarily penetrate things very well, and it also is prone to interference because there's a ton of crap on the ISM band, and also you're limited to 1 watt. And I know you can do a lot with directional antennas, but that becomes impractical as far as comparing it to portability on APRS. Like for instance, this is a 2nd gen Pico Apers. I haven't gotten the 4th gen yet.
Pico Apers.
I'd like to get the 4th gen.
Oh, Jeff has one.
Oh, Jeff has one too.
How do you like it?
It's okay. I just put the stubby antenna. I had a signal stick on there for a while, but I haven't used it that much. I've played around with it once in a while, calling on the 2-meter call frequency when driving around it. It works. I've gotten to talk to a few people.
It's not repeater capable, is it?
I
Can
don't
it do an
remember.
Frequency offset?
I don't remember. I'd have to device mode.
I didn't think it was, but
I think it is. I think it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I programmed some frequencies in there, and I think it was just some repeaters also.
Yeah, and I came very close to buying one, but it's like Okay, this is roughly the same size as the version 4, maybe a touch smaller, but it's not. Is the $400 price tag really worth when I could just be a little bit bigger for $17?
No, it's not worth it. To tell you the truth.
Okay, well, I'm
So
glad I
James,
got your take on it.
Jody found it, and I had it up all ready to go. Go10 is still around, but as Jody said, they're doing more government, military, but no retail stuff.
Right. It was basically a rug pull. They got the public really stoked about their civilian version, sold a bunch of them, and raised enough collateral and interest to get the military and government interested in their pro version, and then they dropped the civilian model completely, stopped manufacturing it. They had some excuses about chip availability, but basically they abandoned their customers. So it was kind of a D-bag move. I'm very excited about Meshtastic because it steps right in and does everything that Gotenna does, and I think the technology is really cool. If you understand the shortcomings of that frequency and the power limitations, but I love the idea of mesh in general. I think it's awesome, and I love that there's multiple companies making the hardware and that it's open source software. I think it's so cool. I can't wait to get involved. I'm just, I'm in a different project mode right now, and that's just on the list of one of my next projects to do is to get involved in Meshtastic. I'm looking forward to it. So if you guys have any insights or suggestions or recommendations or things like that, I'd love to hear that because Meshtastic definitely interests me.
How about a tethered repeater, digipeater, mesh repeater? Same idea as the cell backups. That's from Jody.
That's cool.
Create that and make it happen.
Gotenna had a very interesting feature that was kind of akin to the APRS SMS gateway, where you could, if your cell phone didn't have a signal, you could send a message to a phone number on the Gotenna app, and if there were any other Gotenna users within the mesh that had a cell phone signal, it would relay and use them to send a text message to the person you were trying to reach. I don't know if they ever got to turning that around and making it bidirectional before they dropped customer support and abandoned the project, but like that would be super cool within Meshtastic. And there's a lot of advantages of being on the 900 megahertz ISM band compared to in ham radio, right? Like you can do encryption, you can internet link, and you can do all kinds of things that might be problematic in ham radio, like or even in like GMRS, how they're shutting down lots of internet linked GMRS repeaters, right?
Right.
I read that was a thing. So yeah, like an SMS gateway for Meshtastic would be really cool. And then any user that doesn't have a cell phone signal could relay into the network. And if there's a Meshtastic device that's internet, someone tell me, does that already exist? I don't know. I'm not in the ecosystem yet.
I have no idea, but wasn't there a thing? Didn't somebody make a video about the internet linked GMRS repeaters, and that was kind of a problem for
those were getting shut down? Yeah,
FCCs and those type of things.
Yeah, I think that was Jason Ham Radio 2.0 or not a Rubicon. I don't remember. They might have both touched on it.
They both touched on it, and Jody has a new shirt for you, James. Kind of a D-bag move. 2025 Quirky T-shirt idea pool.
Oh boy, I'll think about it.
You're not getting out the T-shirts that easily, apparently.
Wow. So Jeff, you were asking what this was. This is a Meshtastic node. This is the T1000. It's got a beautiful mugshot on the back.
Make
myself. Yeah. Man, look at me. Rookie mistake. Wow. Bam. So this is the T1000. Come on, camera.
And who makes that?
This is made by Seed Studios, SEEED Studios. There we go.
You know, it's the T1000. I figured it would be made by Skynet.
Yeah, so it is the footprint of a like a security badge.
That's awesome.
That you would use, ID card that you would swipe in, and it's a little bit thicker. It's maybe like 6 of them thick, but it charges up. It lasts for a couple days.
Where'd
a lot
you
of
get
people
it? On Amazon?
Seed Studios.
They're on Amazon. I believe I've
Yeah.
seen them on Amazon.
Actually, I don't know if they've gone there or not. So John,
I had it on my Christmas wish list. I'm pretty sure they're there.
Really?
Jeff private chat. I just dropped a Meshtastic link for it.
But Seed Studios
Sense
is
yeah.
Seed Studios has really jumped into the ESP32 kind of maker space, and you guys know the on the video, the guy that Mike's had in a few of his videos, the guy that was the tech doing the pod activations with him on 10 meters and stuff like that. It was in a few of his videos. He's been he was interfacing with Seed Studios because they were doing it using Meshtastic for a project in the county that he lives in, and he's basically become their face of the Meshtastic amateur radio kind of world, and they're sending them to ham fests and going out and talking about the products. So out of our group that was there, a large number of people had this tracker, and it's great because you can clip it on your belt, you can clip it on your backpack or whatever, and it's just kind of out of the way.
Now it's not a tracker though, right? It's not just a tracker. Like is it a full mesh node?
It is a full mesh node, yes.
That's awesome.
Yes,
and
so,
it is on Amazon. I just checked.
Okay, cool. And it does environmental stuff too, so it can do weather, temperature.
Oh, that's cool.
Barometric pressure and stuff like that. So there's some neat things with it, and there are things, and obviously the Meshtastic's built on top of LoRa, and there's a lot of usage in the agricultural space with LoRa and everything, and so I think a lot of it will find its way in to there. I live in a rural farming community, and so I'm
Me too.
thinking about how I can approach some of the farmers around here to see if they'll let me put some kind of a solar node maybe up on top of their grain bins and stuff like that. The downside to it is right now is that they're still trying to work on remote over-the-air update. That's still,
James, I know a water tower you can use.
My dad and I have talked about this back in the Gotenna days. We're like, oh man, we could get a cheap USB solar panel, attach that in the Gotenna to my drone and a magnet, and fly it up there and just attach it to the water tower.
And even on the underside, it would work just fine. But on the top of that tower, yeah.
The thought did cross my mind.
Now, just get a VHF APRS it up there. There you go.
Yeah, I'll just drop my Pico Apers up there for digipeating.
I sent you a message, APRS message, by the way, James.
Oh, did you? I don't have anything on right now. I'll have to check it from my phone.
I didn't put a SSID behind it. I just threw your call sign in there. I figured it'd get to you on one of them.
It should. I used to do APRS messaging all the time in the backcountry. In that original that gateway SMS was around. It was really handy.
SMS GTE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that thing was cool, man. I'd be up in the mountain somewhere because there's no cell phone service up there, and I could say, "Hey, man, everything's okay." Blah blah blah, and yeah, I just straight into my FT5, dude, and like my brother would be able to get a text from me. I'm just out, no service, man. That thing was cool.
It was great. Yeah. Did you ever use the email service also?
No, WinLink, yes. I just learned how to do that
the WinLink
more recently,
was tied into it, so you could
Mm.
use both. They kind of cross-pollinated. You could. So, for instance, if you put WinLink in your APRS, what's that field called? The info field or whatever it's called.
The subject line, basically.
Subject line, yeah. If you put WinLink in there, anytime you receive a WinLink email, you'll get an APRS notification that there's a WinLink email waiting for you, and that's useful.
That's cool. Yeah, right around like 2020 time, dude. Like all of this APRS stuff stopped working for me once I got into Indiana. Like I haven't really been using it for anything other than just like a beaconing from my car, just for no particular reason other than I can and I just want to play with it.
You got to set up your own tower, get a 5/8 wave antenna on top of that thing.
Yep.
And get your own Digipeater iGate going.
No, that's the other problem that I have now is that I'm in an apartment in downtown. This is like my shack area, but it's not really like a functioning shack. It's more like a staging area for when I go out portable. I can set up here though if I really wanted to. I can use the rain gutter on this building. Has an antenna. It's an antenna. It's not a very good antenna. Then I got to run stuff outside. I have enough room out there. I could set up an end-fed half wave or a dipole, and I've done that before. It's still kind of the terrible place to do that. But I could if I wanted to, but the problem is then I get funny looks from all of the neighbors. Like, what is this guy
Just
doing?
give him funny looks back.
Alan, I got
still.
the perfect solution for you.
What's that?
Get a sling antenna and you string it out across the apartment.
Yeah. On
I had one
inside?
guy
From the ceiling.
or outside.
String
I
inside.
had one guy make his own curtain rod, like a wooden. He made a wooden curtain rod to replace what he had on his sliding glass door for the back porch in the HOA. And then he hid the sling antenna on the curtain rod somehow. I wish he had sent me photos. He told me about it in an email. Because his wife didn't. He couldn't get away with anything, so he had to hide the antenna. She didn't want it even on the balcony temporarily. So he got creative and he hid it on the curtain rod somehow, or
it's
behind
a
the curtain
family-friendly
rod.
show. We're not playing hide the antenna.
Well, y'all saw what I put in the private chat before Vince came in, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, I don't
Welcome
see
back,
any messages.
The private chat, James. Right down there.
So, James, I work in the IT industry. So when I do these things, man, I bring receipts. So let's see here. Bam. Here's my Digipeater log. So I got you in the Digipeater, buddy.
I believe
Right
that
here.
you sent it to me. I'm just having trouble seeing it.
Right there. You got Digipeated.
Well, no, you got a call sign wrong. That's why it's Kilo Hotel 2 Sierra Romeo, not Hotel Romeo.
Well, that's a problem. Somebody's got it then. Well, I can fix that.
Well, no, it's not a problem. It's an issue. I mean,
Well,
just
Rookie
strictly
mistake.
speaking.
it is. It probably it's somebody on Guam right now is like, who the heck is this guy in Alaska?
I'm gonna get an email.
Yeah.
I know it.
Actually, that call sign's not even in the APRS database.
Have you guys ever had your APRS encoded call sign get garbled and changed? Not human error, but just show up wrong in the system. Have you ever experienced that?
No.
No.
I have. It's weird. And it's probably because one of the devices I tinker with is a Chinese APRS device. And it had a little aneurysm, I think, and spit out my call sign wrong. Yeah, but I looked at the map before. ahead.
The only thing I've ever had an issue with, James, is that one time where someone was spoofing your call sign and worked me. Yeah.
That's
I'm
happened to me
that's
several
not
times,
James.
actually. I've been informed of people using my call sign on HF. I've been informed of people using my call sign on like some DMR. I'm not sure if it must have been online, but yeah, multiple people have contacted me saying my call sign's been getting abused. Luckily, not extensively, and only 2 or 3 times. But it's just weird that people think that that's a good idea.
Now
I
it
guess-
pisses me off.
So
My call sign.
Jody says Quirky's radio has an accent, changes his call sign.
It does. It does.
Yeah, Tim, I was wondering where the message was because I was looking at the message server and I wasn't seeing anything.
Why you gotta be that way, Frank?
You guys are just all so fancy looking at your damn message servers and stuff.
Oh, absolutely, Vince.
And you're grepping and curling your nicks.
Yeah.
Trying
All
to
right, I
figure
just
it all
said it
out.
again. To the
Ah,
right
there we
call
go.
sign.
Now it pops in.
There it is.
Well, that was fast. It must have not transited on RF. So is it really a true APRS message if it transited the internet?
I think it went through RF because I heard the typical
Right.
humming noise.
I mean, if I do
Oh,
it
okay.
from my phone, I'm using some RF.
Hey, you know what? That is the only way to justify that. No, Vince, I have a digital.
That argument drives me crazy. Go ahead, Tim.
I'll make the argument. I don't agree with it, but
I agree with it. My cable modem uses RF to transport my signal between here and the cable head end. So it is radio. I'm sorry. There's no way of cutting it. Get off my lawn, old man.
Yeah.
This is not
So
your grandpa's
James
ham radio.
James is right. Vince is listening for dits and daws, not message servers.
Yeah, exactly.
And Chris Bricker, are there any legal ramifications for using someone's call sign?
Yes.
If you push
Yes.
it hard enough,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, it's against the regulations in every country.
Whether or not it's actually enforced is a different
It's a
story.
different matter, but he asked if if it's a bad thing. So legal ramifications. Yes, it's illegal. How you define ramifications, well, that's up to you. And you guys with all your fancy digipeters, I just run an iGate in this area. And the reason I do that is because in this area, there's a high density already of digipeters, but there's not enough gates. So I just run a gate and make it simple. And I do that with just, like a little Raspberry Pi thing.
Yeah. So what I'm running is DigiPi. And so it's acting both as a digipeater and a gateway.
Yeah.
So Jody's
Or
coming
not
in with the Canadian SAS big time. If your AX25 packet gets converted into 802.11 or 802.3 packet, flip the corner on your radio license.
Yeah, it depends what the conversion rate between American and Canadian is that day, though, Jody.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'm still 802.3, man. I'm all for that. I'm sorry.
I'm still stuck back in the day of CSMA CD or token ring. I hate
Although,
to admit it.
Vince, you are not a gatekeeper.
I
Says
feel
James.
like I might be old enough to know exactly what you're talking about because I've managed 1 or 2 token ring networks in my time. I just was like, God, not token ring.
Can you spell Twinax? Do you remember how many ohms of impedance it was? Yeah.
300?
75.
Was it 75?
Yeah.
Funny, James. Very funny.
Oh, you saw that, did you?
Uh-huh.
So
just
Frank, why
waiting
don't
for
you share with the class
What?
what you're looking at?
Okay.
there?
So James responded, "Bro, do you even banana hammock?" And with that, I'm going to share this.
Come here.
Yeah, please do.
So Tim, bring it up.
Okay.
So this is aprs.fi. It is a wonderful site. Let me go back to the root.
Holy.
And my message is now forever on the internet for posterior.
Right? Oh, no. Wrong way. Nice eyeball.
Oh,
This is
good evening.
California's.
Izzo.
Wait, why is...
Where?
Oh, it's an eyeball. It's not supposed to be an eyeball.
Okay. What?
Oh, it's an eyeball. This is
Well, we're all gonna.
California, especially in the Bay Area. But if you were to put in any call sign, and of course, let's go KH2SR star. Oh wait, hold on. Let's
You were saying?
take that off screen for a second. Let's go into messages. Wait for this to update. Okay, there we go. Now share the screen again.
Frank's updating his password. You dropped it.
No, I didn't. I didn't drop anything. There we go. These are all the messages. Well, not all the messages. Last 50 messages that have gone through the APRS message server. Here's the last like 500 messages. But if you want to see if someone sent or received a message recently, you put in their call sign, and if you don't know what SSID they're using, you put a star in. And we can see Tim and James talking on the backside here.
So
there's Jody.
can you filter for things other than call sign? Can you look for a certain keyword in the messages?
Like banana hammock?
No, I was thinking. I was more thinking like barbecue potato chips in honor of our friend Izzo, who's joined us.
Mm.
Oh, I found something new that I'm going to try.
Wasn't there a way to find to just show all the WinLink stuff on APRS.fi? I feel like
Frank,
I did that.
bring up what you had there for Izzo. Oh,
Pringles barbecue.
Yeah. Although I'm gonna preempt this and say Pringles are not potato chips.
No, they're not.
I know, but it's a snack. It's good.
They were sued by Big Potato Chip and
No
lost.
way.
Yes,
I did not know this.
Yeah, they are crisps, and that's why they're not potato chips. Yeah, they were sued by the Big Potato Chip and lost.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why. Bring me back up with Tim.
I'm going to stick with calling them potato chips. I don't have a deep enough repertoire of vocabulary to have add another word.
That's why nowhere on the can does it say potato chip at all.
I bet if you look underneath there somewhere, it'll say potato crisps and small lettering.
I'm just going to write potato chips on it.
It's barbecue flavor, savory snack. Dehydrated potatoes is the closest you get.
Yes, but does it say may cause anal leakage on the back?
No, but it does.
Remember that on chips like in the 90s?
Oh, you know what those were? Those were the Lestra or the Wow chips.
Yes,
the Wow chips, the ones that had the whatever.
Oh,
they were made with
the.
the.
They weren't lying when they said wow.
The seed oils or whatever that didn't allow stuff to bind in your stomach, and it just kind of passed on through.
But it allowed others.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys probably didn't have this.
Colonoscopy prep, I was thinking, but that's 275 meters for this group, probably.
I was going to say, you guys probably didn't have that stuff up in Canada. I don't think your equivalent of the FDA allows that kind of stuff.
No,
probably not. No.
Tim.
Yes, sir.
Since our great Don Izzo is in the chat, I want to circle back to the motion I did towards the beginning to have Randy on here. Everyone in favor?
Oh, we might have already reached out to him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You hear that, Izzo? We're having Randy on.
Old news. Well, he hasn't agreed, so I don't know.
Well, Izzo
I
wasn't here until just now,
personally think we should.
Hasn't agreed yet.
Well, I personally think Randy and Shane should come on, and we should do like family counseling.
A sibling
Brother
rivalry
battle.
episode.
Brother versus brother.
That's right. That's right. I think we should do that. Don, what do you think? Izzo?
Let us know your comments in the chat, Don.
If you want to make the sibling thing realistic, they got to be in the same room and you got to let them fight.
No. Separate them for fun.
No.
Gives it more turmoil.
Like Hobo Wars.
With Jerry Springer, as moderator or something? Ham court.
Yes.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Ham court.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, I just noticed, man, we've been on for like almost 2.5 hours now. That's not a record for us. We've gone a little bit longer, but those were the holidays. But we're having fun, and that's what it's all about. I guess real quick, let's go ahead and try to wrap it up. James, anything going on? Any special stuff that you got coming up?
Nothing in particular, just more of the same. Looking forward to projects and hearing about other people's ham radio experiences and enjoying all these wonderful live streams that you guys do.
Well, I appreciate you being on it. I mean, it's been a good live stream tonight. Jeff, how about yourself?
Oh boy. As I mentioned earlier, I got a issue with my Mac I need to figure out. And I can't really do anything new until I figure out what it is, or after I do a restore from a backup. We'll see.
Why don't you take it to the Genius Bar for a good laugh?
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to figure it out.
How do you Google that? Vince,
With
how about
Google.
Oh, hey, take a listen to Ham Radio Workbench. Dropping next Tuesday is our interview and video stream with Patrick from Geocron. If you ever wanted to know the story behind Geocron, it's a fascinating story. It really is. So take a listen for that. So that's a shameless plug for the podcast. And more Studer kits are finally back in stock. The speakers came in today. I'm so happy. So there we go.
I've got a kit right over here in my cabinet.
Those kits look cool, man. I keep saying, just like every other ham that you talk to, I'm going to learn CW, but like I am fascinated with the idea of having a radio like as small as a deck of cards and just having it ultra lightweight in a backpack. So yeah, you got me thinking, man. It's about time. I need to start doing that and just make it happen. Like you said earlier in the stream, practice 5 minutes every day. When I learned my first musical instrument, I practiced 30 minutes a day, and now it's just like embedded in my head. So,
Yeah.
Treat it like a musical instrument.
exactly. It's just a bunch of dits and das, right? It's got a rhythm to it. So
Think of it as another language.
yeah.
You're learning a new language, and that's all it is.
Problem is, I'm still working on English.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll
Vince,
pop a link in the chat.
asking for some links on your
I've
thing
been
there.
dropping links the whole time, Vince.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody's just built one and put that in the chat. Yes, thank you, Dane. So there you go.
Are they only available as a kit, or do you sell them as assembled too?
For a small number of a small amount of additional filthy lucre, we will solder it for you.
Okay, yeah.
So,
I don't know how to solder yet. I'm sure I could figure it out, but I'd have to
It's
buy
all
some more
good.
stuff.
I would say Frank would teach you, but I've seen his work.
Hey, I've improved. So
I did some soldering as a kid. It's not like I've never soldered anything before. My dad used to sell these little model airplane transmitter beacon things, and then he would hire me, and I would just put these things together, like with specific instructions. I didn't really know like what resistors were going to what, but yeah, I soldered before, and I was like 12 years old, and I haven't really done anything with that since, but I'm sure I could figure it right up. But again, then I'd have to buy the tools, which I will at some point, but it's just like I could buy the thing, or I could buy the tools to make the thing, and then eventually make. I don't know.
Well, between Carlos and I, we can get you hooked up, and we can build some stuff. Maybe we'll do a POTA camp out or something like that, and build kits, drink beer, and make contacts.
That sounds like fun. I think the 705 has some CW trainer type things, or you can at least key down the CW tone without transmitting on the radio. That might be something I might play around with at some point. But
just stick a dummy load on there.
Cool.
There you go.
So hey, Alan, what's coming up on Punk Rock Ham Radio?
Lots of adventures, man. I got another video coming up at G90 versus Yaesu 891. That'll be fun. It's probably not the most in-depth comparison of the two that you've seen, but it's really fun. And I have lots more adventures planned up here. I can't wait to get Backpack Portable again and just go activate in the middle of the woods somewhere. I have just endless adventures that I want to go on, just having fun playing radio outdoors. And guess what? I'm also having fun making these videos. So if you haven't heard me say it already, if you're in the chat, if you're watching this video right now, subscribe to Punk Rock Ham Radio on YouTube. I'm trying to reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers, and I ain't stopping, man. When I set my mind to something, I make it happen. So type it into the search bar on YouTube, Punk Rock Ham Radio, and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you never miss a single episode of Punk Rock Ham Radio.
Punk Rock Ham Radio will rent you the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Or, click the link over in the chat. I just dropped it. You're at 569 subs.
I'm climbing,
Nice.
man. This last video is doing really good, and it's kind of fun to see those videos go. And it's like looking at a bunch of sales numbers too. You're seeing all your little analytics things,
Right.
and kind of trying to figure out what type of content that my viewers want to watch. The field day videos doing really good. My everyday weekend POTAs don't do as good, but I'm also just having fun. So if I'm gonna make a video, I'm just gonna make a video and do it anyway, and we'll just kind of figure this out as we go. So subscribe to Punk Rock Ham Radio on YouTube. Thank you.
All right, Frank, how about you? What's going on with Frank's channel? I know you've been kind of busy with work, it looks like.
Yeah, and it's not going to lighten up anytime soon. I have a bunch of videos planned. I have a couple reviews waiting to get edited. I had my computer crash on me. So I have no graphics card at all, waiting for a new one to come in so I can get it in there and get things back up and running. But that requires me to be at home for more than 10 minutes at a time. So videos are on hold for a little bit, but I'm still out there supporting everyone else as much as I can. My sub count looking great, just over 1,600 subs right now. Unfortunately, it's gone down a little bit, but that's to be expected when you don't put out a video every week.
It's the Turkish fembot.
Yeah,
I haven't seen them yet.
That one. That's absolutely true. And that's about it for me. Once James gets it worked out, if you want to buy something over from... Oh, there we go. Right way, Frank. If you want to buy something from QuirkyQRP on Etsy, use the code KG6NLWQuirky, all one word, uppercase. And once James has that worked out, I'll put a post up on Twitter, Instagram, my community tabs page, everywhere, so everybody knows. I do post updates when I get a chance, and that's about it for me, Tim. I will say this. I'm not going to be around as much on Saturdays for HRCC After Chat. So Tim, for me, you're right above me. So, Tim, you're now Frank for John.
Uh-oh.
Oh, where did Frank go?
Well, he was saying he wasn't going to be around as much.
I think the Turkish fembot's got him.
Yeah,
Hey,
I
so-
think so.
So, Tim, what do you got coming up, man?
Oh, he's back.
there it is.
Well, welcome back, Frank.
Funny how that one works,
That's the fastest
No.
recovery from the fembots I've seen in a while. Good job.
right? So, yeah, Tim, I expect you to pick up the slack for me, okay?
I'll try, but yeah.
So, I mean, you're in the chat as often as I am, so just go through the list, and I'll send Josh a message and be like, "Hey, Tim's gonna take over for me, for now until I'm back."
I don't know if I do that. That might be a little too much.
Nah, not at all. He and I are cool.
Oh no! It might be a little too much for me to commit to that. Yeah.
Oh, you can give it a shot, see what happens. Okay, we'll talk later.
Josh did a pretty good job. He did a pretty good job keeping track. I mean, he only forgot 5 or 6 people that were there, but
I think there was only. It sounded like there was only 2 that he had to go back for. But yeah, I do catch. I do catch team replays when I can.
Okay.
And Jason KB1WSC. That's a funny discount code, James.
Oh, I might make that one.
Is it banana hammock?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jody, yeah, the Turkish Film Bots give us, and the first Turkish Film Bots take it away. Absolutely. But, I have some good Chinese food to make up for that. Anyway, Tim, what are you up to?
He's gone.
He must be hitting the hang up instead of the mute button.
I think it is. I think YouTube is hearing him say Fimbot, and
I think that's what it is.
Out. Yeah. Gosh, I don't know.
Don't do it. Don't do
it again.
I'm I was down at Hamcation, went down there, got some good interviews. Had a great time. Had an absolute fun time. It's back to community, right? And getting out and just the opportunity to sit around the campfire. Well, it was Florida. There wasn't much of a campfire, but there was a citronella candle there to keep the bugs away. And but no, it was a good opportunity. Got to meet some new people and have conversations and talk about our hobby and stuff like that. So got some videos. I dropped the one tonight from Chris and Buddy Pole and everything. So that's tonight. I saw Steve had dropped one on Armalock. I did basically Steve and I stood right next to each other and filmed the same interview. So I may or may not release that one since the information's already out there and it's pretty well covered. Short of that, my goal is to kind of get back to my roots with electronics and start doing a bunch of kit building. I've got a whole case of or the cabinet full of kits and things that I have purchased over this last year that eventually I wanted to get around to it. A lot of it was waiting for this building to be built. It's built now, so I need to sit my butt down at the bench and start doing some things. So Vince's Morris Tudor is on the list. I've actually got a nice. It's a MIDI controller for, in my case, the Flex radio. I found when I bought the radio that I didn't think that I would need a VFO. I'm a computer guy. I'll just do it on the screen. What I found that doing search and pounce and trying to get in and get very granular with the frequency and everything, we're just using a mouse, wasn't very good. So there's a company that makes a VFO or a MIDI controller that I can take and I can use it. It works with the Smart SDR software. So I can do it on my computer. I can do it on my phone. I can do it on my iPad. I've got that. It's Bluetooth capable. And you can also link a paddle through it too. So that's another one I'll be working on here in the next couple of weeks. And my DJI mics, my receiver, the battery life is absolutely horrible. So I actually got a replacement battery for that, and I've ripped that thing apart, which might be going back together with duct tape on it, but it's there. So I'll get the battery replaced so I can record all this stuff. So
crazy glue.
Something, yeah. 200-mile-an-hour tape, or
duct tape for those things that should stick but don't. Yeah. WD-40 for those things that don't stick but should. No, I've got that backwards, don't I?
That reverse it, yeah.
Yeah, well. I'm getting lots wrong tonight. But Tim, if you want to do like a joint kit build with me, where I heckle you mercilessly or give you all the coaching you wish, or none of the above, just let me know.
Well, let me. We don't have a way to do a poll. Let me chat. Let me know in the chat. Give us a 1. Would you guys be interested in doing some kind of a group build with Vince, where we could order some kits and then do it all together?
Ooh, I did not think of that.
Yeah, we can get 3 or 4 people, 5, whoever's interested. Maybe we can get them on the live stream, and we can just do it all together. I think we can support up to at least 10 people.
All right.
9 plus you, Tim.
Well, yeah. Oh, I'd be building one too. So
yeah.
What kind of kit are you thinking?
Well, the Morris Tudor, right?
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, got it. Awesome.
Unless you were going to do the Slink Tenna kits.
Oh, God.
Hey Vince, do me a favor.
Yes.
Wrench me, bro, on your channel. I want to drop the Ham Radio Kids table
That's
link on your channel.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Don't be wrenching bros on live streams.
Yeah.
And Jason, no surrogate for me. I can do it just fine.
Okay, you're there.
All right. And
although it's very delicate soldering.
There are 2 through-hole components. There are a bunch of header pins. There's a couple rotary components, and then everything else is modular to put together. So it's about a 2-hour build if you've never soldered before. To Alan's point of he doesn't solder. So with a little bit of practice first, well, you could be the next Bob Heil, which would be very suitable, right? Because he was the guy known as the guy with the soldering iron backstage.
Okay,
so
very cool.
If you smell burnt chicken, you're holding it wrong.
Yes, that's always good guidance. And it's an hour or just under an hour if you're an experienced solderer. So there you go.
James is already laughing. He saw that.
Sometimes I should keep my mouth shut, I think.
James, you're welcome.
Oh. Oh boy.
Not going there.
On a different note, I had a question. Who all's going to Hamvention? Sweet. I'm like almost 90% sure I'm going.
That's Dayton, right?
I really should book a hotel.
I have to go.
Yeah, you can go.
Thanks for the reminder. I've never been to a ham fest, man, and that one's like 2 hours driving distance.
It's all downhill after Dayton. Dayton's like the peak.
Okay.
Dayton is the pinnacle. Just eat lots of salads in the days leading up to it. Yeah, it's May 15th and 16th, I want to say.
Okay.
Mid-May.
So Tim's been telling me about that. Thanks for the reminder, you guys.
So we're heading over on Wednesday.
Yep.
And that's basically when the fun will start. The Thursday is open for the media, YouTubers and stuff like that. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is the event.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Thursday the... Okay, good. I feel much better now.
Yeah, okay.
What's the QRP event called again? I'm
4 days in May.
4 days in May, and that's on Thursday.
That's on Thursday. Okay. I hope I can make it to that. We'll see.
And they'll have events and stuff going on. Also Friday night too, right? And Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. 4 days in May runs all day Thursday. Thursday evening is the marketplace. That's my favorite place to be. Friday evening, there is an event. Saturday evening, there is a big banquet. If you go to the Hope Hotel and Conference Center, there's the Flex Radio dinners and late night pizza parties and a whole pile of other things going on there. There's stuff happening all around town. The YouTubers get together at the Troll Pub and many other places. Yes, it was a lot of fun. You bet.
The 4 days in May, is that just on Thursday or is it more than one day?
It is all day Thursday and Thursday evening. Okay. So all the speakers are during the day Thursday. And then in the evening, like I say, marketplace than some other things going on Friday evening and Saturday evening, but not during the day.
So if you're into kit building, so they're generally QRP type radios because they're small, right?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Kit building, that is the place to go, because there's a lot of kit designers and people that are bringing projects in and stuff like that. So it's fun to see this kind of stuff and see the ingenuity of putting together and designing radios that fit inside of Altoid cans or tins and stuff like that. So
Rex, W1 Rex from QRP.me was there 2 years ago when I was there. Jack Purdom was at the table beside me. Farhan from the BitX fame was at the table across from me. These are all the people who create the QRP kits and QRP rigs that we love. Hans from QRP Labs, et cetera, et cetera. So many, many, many people there. It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
All right. Well, good deal. Let's get out of here. Right. Say goodbye.
All right. Good night, everybody.
See you, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. See, tomorrow night, Coffee and Ham Radios, 8 p.m. Also, there'll be probably premieres, so look for the playlist coming out on Twix, Instagram, Facebook, those kind of things to see what premieres are going on tomorrow night. So with that, everybody, I guess we can say good night.
7-2.
Good night. See you.